Chapter 132. Old Purple's body was stained with blood, and his tailed beast's coat was torn apart by the thunder. His wounds began to tear under the erosion of the tailed beast chakra. Old Purple only felt extreme pain all over his body, which almost made him faint. He panted heavily, and his eyes began to lose color. Pa! Then a sticky liquid dripped from his body to the ground. He knew what it was. It was his blood. Am I going to die? It hurts. It hurts so much. Intense burning pain. Squeak. The scene suddenly changed, and the cold sound of water came from afar. In a daze, Old Purple felt that he was walking forward on his toes numbly. He had lost control of his own body. The sound of water was getting louder and louder. Then, a huge pool appeared in front of Old Purple. The pool was like a mirror. When Old Purple approached, he seemed to have broken the peace, and layers of ripples were blown away. He stood at the edge of the pool and leaned over to look down. He saw something emerging from the depths of the blue water. It was a huge ape with long blood-red hair and 4 tails. But its hands and feet were shackled. It stared at Old Purple, and Old Purple stared at the ape. Their eyes met briefly to confirm. Hey kid, do you need my power? A bewitching voice came into Old Purple's ears. Why are you so weak? It's because you haven't fallen deep enough. I can give you even more power, allowing you to defeat anyone you want to defeat. Come on, make a deal with me. Make a deal with me. Old Purple's eyes were filled with struggle, but then he immediately showed intoxication. He didn't even know that he had begun to walk forward involuntarily. First it was his feet, then his knees, then his waist. Finally, the water went up to his neck. Even his whole body fell into the pool. The pool was not cold, and it was even very warm. The water was clear, and the visibility was very high. When he entered, he didn't even feel the pain of suffocation. Finally, it's here. Ha ha. Arrogant laughter rang through the night. Shigeru instinctively felt that something was wrong with Old Purple. Cautiously, he leaped up high and returned to Akira Uchiha's side. After all, using the secret technique just now had consumed too much of his energy. He wouldn't be able to launch a powerful attack for the time being. At this moment, Old Purple was standing alone in the rain. His eyes, which were originally a little dazed, had turned blood red. The red chakra, which had already disappeared, popped up like bubbles. Under the influence of the 4-tailed chakra, the wounds on his body healed faster and faster, as if he had never been injured in the first place. Hatsuki Shigeru snorted unhappily as he watched Rashi's injuries begin to heal. The fight with the 4-tailed Manchuriki for half a day was now a complete waste of time. He now understood just how troublesome a tailed beast could be. The defense and recovery abilities of the tailed beast's coat were simply too strong. It felt like an absolute defense. Hatsuki Shigeru also wanted to defeat Manchuriki with the help of Akira Uchiha. However, the tailed beast's coat and the magma that appeared from time to time made Hatsuki Shigeru, who chose close combat, feel like a dog biting a hedgehog. So Hatsuki Shigeru began to reflect on whether he lacked a super penetrating ninjutsu. Just as Shigeru was thinking, Old Purple roared towards the sky. The heat in the air was getting stronger and stronger. The scorching heat made Akira Uchiha's skin begin to tingle. Originally, Old Purple was just wrapped in a layer of chakra. But now his appearance has changed dramatically. The red chakra was like hair draped over Old Purple's body. The chakra behind his buttocks was constantly swaying and finally condensed into 4 tails. Slowly, Old Purple's appearance under the chakra began to become like an ape. His eyes, which were filled with flames, contained a ferocious glint. Ahaha, I finally came out. I can eat my favorite banana again. I can ask Mount Huagua to give birth to my baby monkey. Ha ha ha. For Tails, who was controlling Old Purple's consciousness, was completely eccentric and elated at the same time. It seems that he has lost his mind, and is controlled by the Yambi. Akira Uchiha frowned. Manchuriki is very difficult to deal with such a person. The Yambi, who was preparing to destroy, looked at Akira Uchiha and Shigeru. Hey, there are 2 delicious little insects. They can be a midnight snack. Rumble. The scorching magma covered the place where Akira Uchiha and the others were standing. The temperature was even higher than before, and it directly melted the ground around them. The Yambi began to enlarge. Whoosh! Akira Uchiha's figure naturally appeared outside the attack range of the Yambi. Separated by hundreds of meters, he stared at the monster like Old Purple from afar. Roar! Old Purple, who had transformed into a monster, continued to raise his head when he saw that the two insects were not killed. A large amount of magma surged out of his mouth, and then gradually condensed into a shape. Akira Uchiha was stunned. In a few seconds, the scorching magma above Old Purple's head condensed into a huge fireball with a diameter of nearly 5 meters. Above the fireball, there was an extremely high temperature that spread out, and a large area of air was filled with ripples visible to the naked eye. The next moment, the huge fireball was shot out by Old Purple and attacked Akira Uchiha and the others. Chapter 133. Akira Uchiha and Shigeru continued to flee under Seibai's attacks. Seibai was obviously playing a game called Whack-A-Mole, and it was having a lot of fun. Because of Seibai's unscrupulous behavior, the dense forest had completely disappeared. Scorching hot magma spread over a radius of hundreds of meters, making it so that no one dared to set foot in this area. After Seibai attacked crazily for half a day, it finally got tired. Akira Uchiha also stopped to rest. Seibai successfully made Akira Uchiha have a bad impression of tailed beasts. After all, it was the first time they met, and Seibai was already in such a sorry state. Looking at Seibai's arrogant smile, Akira Uchiha cursed in his heart. Sooner or later, I will use my illusion to kill you tailed beasts. However, this was the same as those who were beaten up and said that their son finally beat them up. It was only a psychological consolation. Akira Uchiha was still comforting his hurt heart when a voice came from behind. He turned around and saw that Mikoto and Rope Tree had also rushed over. After all, such a large-scale attack could not be ignored even if they wanted to. Chin, what's going on? Rope Tree asked as he looked at the ravaged ground. Rope Tree was very uncomfortable. Weren't they fighting with the explosion hunter? How did this place end up in such a state after fighting for so long? Akira Uchiha pointed at Seibai and said, "A monkey was suppressed under the mountain, and I accidentally released the seal." Rope Tree looked at him with a "you are making me laugh" expression. "By the way, are you guys done fighting?" Akira Uchiha tilted his head and looked at Mikoto. Although Mikoto had used up a lot of energy, she did not have many injuries. She shook her head. "We were fighting, but the magma covered us. But the magma has already covered my area. How can I fight? Where are the two Chunin? Isn't that right?" The Rope Tree pointed at Old Purple. The two Chunin ran towards Old Purple without looking back. It seemed that they had recognized Old Purple. Unfortunately, Old Purple was being controlled by Four Tails. If he hurried over now, wouldn't he be delivering food to them? For Tails, who had just been spewing lava, was now playing in the sea of lava. It swam, dog-paddled, and occasionally did a few difficult butterfly strokes. It was having a lot of fun. It glanced around and saw two more mosquitoes coming over to disturb it. It didn't even raise its head, but a large number of bubbles began to emerge from its butt under the magma. In an instant, a large amount of magma was thrown out like a fountain, directly hitting the two ninjas. Rope Tree, who had been eager to give it a try, broke out in a cold sweat when he saw his opponent die just like that. "This kind of monster. Let's just leave." The Rope Tree gulped. Akira Uchiha also looked at Hatsuki Shigeru, who was a little weak. In this situation, the few of them are definitely not the opponents of the Jinchuriki. It was better to take advantage of this time to decisively escape. Hatsuki Shigeru shook his head. This kind of monster, if it comes to the main battlefield with Sakura Shinobu, Woodleaf side will definitely suffer unbearable losses. My task is to keep an eye on it, so I can't leave. Akira Uchiha raised his eyebrows. Hatsuki Shigeru, who had used a secret technique, was very weak at this time. And even if he was not injured, he would not be the opponent of Yambi. Hatsuki Shigeru obviously knew this. "Akira Uchiha, I'm giving your team a B-level mission as a shinobi. Go to Woodleaf's camp and ask for support," Shigeru said to Akira Uchiha. "But in your current state, can you hold on until reinforcements arrive?" Akira Uchiha was a little worried. In his heart, he hoped that Shigeru would not die. But Hatsuki Shigeru was a little breathless even when he walked, and he felt like he would fall to the ground if the wind blew. With such a serious sequela, he still had to keep an eye on Yanbi? Akira Uchiha didn't care about the mission. But if you were to accidentally die here, wouldn't little Kakashi be no more? It's okay. The purpose of Yanbi lending his power to Rashi is not simple. Although the opponent's strength is several times stronger than before, Yanbi is now controlling Rashi. Rashi is now unconscious, and the chaotic power is also damaging his body, and he has already reached his limit. I don't know when he won't be able to hold on. I just need to follow him carefully, and I'll be fine, Hatsuki Shigeru explained. Well, be careful, we'll go now. Akira Uchiha didn't hesitate and turned to leave. Wait. Shigeru suddenly stopped Akira Uchiha. With your current injuries, it will take you several days to get there. It's too dangerous, Hatsuki Shigeru explained. I'll let my summon beast carry you back, it's very fast, Hatsuki Shigeru said. Akira Uchiha didn't have any objection to having a means of transportation. Hatsuki Shigeru began to form hand seals with blood on his body. Summoning jutsu. A lot of smoke appeared, but the vehicle they were expecting didn't appear. Hatsuki Shigeru was a little embarrassed. Did it fail? Rope Tree asked doubtfully. Idiot, how can this ninjutsu fail? It's obvious that you were rejected, Akira Uchiha directly said. Hatsuki Shigeru's mouth twitched. Did you have to be so direct? Leave me some face. Being rejected by one's own spiritual beast was also a very embarrassing thing. However, Shigeru soon understood. It must be because Parker and the others went back and talked nonsense, causing the dogs to not dare to come out. Were they so afraid of tailed beasts? Fine, tailed beasts were indeed powerful. Left with no choice, Shigeru could only brace himself and continue the summoning. After several attempts, he finally came out. Shigeru, why did you call me out? Earlier, Parker was about to say something to me when you interrupted him. Before the smoke dissipated completely, the dog started to complain. So close. This time you asked me to come. F*CK, what the hell is this? The dog suddenly shouted. Because a large amount of lava suddenly appeared under the dog's feet. F*CK, are you done? Why is there so much lava? Shigeru, you did it on purpose, didn't you? The scalded ninja dog finally got rid of the lava. It was a huge gray dog, one head taller than Rope Tree. Its bell-like eyes stared at Shigeru. What's going on? The black dog asked. Then Shigeru pointed in the direction of the Yanbi. The black dog looked in the direction Shigeru pointed. It's a tailed beast. Parker, it must be telling me not to come. Shigeru, you're getting arrogant. You even dare to provoke a tailed beast. Under normal circumstances, a large spiritual beast would be a few levels lower than a tailed beast. Because one was a native mutated species, while the other was an alien pet. The starting point of the two was naturally different. Hatsuki Shigeru explained. You're not fighting it. You're not a battle-type ninja dog. I need you to carry these 3 brats to Woodleaf's camp. With your speed, it should be fast. So it's a delivery. You should have said so earlier. The dog sighed in relief. But it's only available in the Fire Nation. This is the land of rain. You're a foreign buyer, so you can't include the delivery. Let's make it clear, I want 200 bones this time. The black dog began to discuss its payment. Akira Uchiha was speechless. Alright then, I'll buy you some bones later. Let's finish this mission first. Now you need to focus. Don't slack off for the next mission. Shigeru said helplessly. Don't worry, I've been in the spiritual world and the delivery world for decades. I still have some reputation and credibility. The black dog smiled. Then let's go. The black dog smiled at the 3 brats. Chapter 134. Although the black dog looked unreliable, it was really good when it came to logistics. They successfully avoided all kinds of dangers along the way, and the quality of service was also excellent. But the other party was a bit talkative, and kept instilling their own corporate culture into them. In short, it was just a sentence, boss get a card. This was the same as a certain washing, cutting, and blowing industry in his previous life. Fortunately, it didn't take long for Akira Uchiha and the others to return to Woodleaf's base. After returning, Akira Uchiha and the others sighed. After all, the experience these days was too complicated. Although Akira Uchiha just wanted to rest, he still reported the specific information to Orochimaru in detail. Now was the critical period of the Land of Rain War, and Woodleaf's forces were beginning to be nervous. But no matter how nervous they were, they had to send jonins to support Shigeru. After all, it was Manchuruki, and once Woodleaf entered the battlefield, it would be a huge blow. And if they didn't send support, Woodleaf would have to collect Shigeru's corpse. It was clear that Woodleaf couldn't afford to lose such a high-end combat power. Akira Uchiha, who completed this B-rank mission, plus the 2 A-rank missions before, was smoothly promoted to Chunin by Orochimaru. After all, his strength was already enough, and the merit points he had accumulated were enough to be promoted to Chunin. So all of this was expected. However, Mikoto and Rope Tree were still jonins. The reason was very simple: if there were 3 Chunin in a team, then the team would be disbanded. In this case, it was undoubtedly unwise to break up a team that had been working together for a long time and assign them to a new team. Orochimaru didn't have time to lead the team, and directly promoted Akira Uchiha to Chunin. Leading this team was the best choice. At this time, Akira Uchiha was standing in the tent, at the mercy of Tsunade. Not bad, kid. Wearing Chunin's vest is also very spirited. Tsunade patted Akira Uchiha's shoulder and said. Orochimaru didn't say anything, but his expression clearly said that this was how his disciple should be. That's all for now. I still have something to discuss with Tsunade. You can go back first. Also, don't go out for missions for the time being. Just stay in the camp. Orochimaru was really scared this time. Every time he went out on a mission, something would happen. Even if he didn't believe it, he had to believe it. To be able to encounter Manchuruki in an ordinary reconnaissance mission, Zhang Xian's luck left him speechless. He felt that it was better to let Akira Uchiha and the others stay in the camp. Orochimaru didn't believe that something would happen in the camp, unless Hanzo personally came to break through the camp. However, this was obviously not going to happen. Akira Uchiha nodded and walked out of the tent. Orochimaru and Tsunade discussed nothing more than the matter of the Yambi Manchuruki and Sakura Shinobu's next move. Whether it was the situation on the main battlefield or the attitude of the other villages, these all needed to be taken into consideration. These things are confidential, and obviously, it's not suitable for Uchiha-chan to hear. Akira Uchiha went back wearing Chunin's vest. Along the way, there were a lot of people who paid attention to him. After all, being promoted to Chunin at this age was indeed a bit young. When returning to his tent, Akira Uchiha met his friend Watergate, who he hadn't seen for a long time. Shuei men stood guard at the entrance of his tent like a watchtower. Seeing Akira Uchiha, Watergate enthusiastically took Akira Uchiha's hand. Long time no see, Watergate. Akira Uchiha pulled back his hand without a trace. Little Sun's situation was obviously not good. There were still some wounds left from the battle, and the corners of his mouth were bandaged. What's wrong with Watergate? Why didn't you go to the medical ninja to treat your injuries? Akira Uchiha asked. If I can, of course I want to go. Watergate smiled bitterly. Now most of the medical ninja's resources are focused on rescuing the seriously injured. It's difficult to take time to take care of the lightly injured genin, so they can only heal slowly. Is there a shortage of medical ninjas to this point? Akira Uchiha pondered. It's a bit difficult to fight against 3 countries at once. According to this situation, the war in the Land of Rain should be over. Otherwise, no one can drag it on. But then again, you are now a Chunin. Just now, the same batch of genin has been spreading such a topic, saying that your team was sent out to perform a high-level mission? Watergate looked at Akira Uchiha's light green vest and asked. Yes. Akira Uchiha spread his hands. The freshly baked Chunin has officially entered the category of high-level cannon fodder, and the letter of appointment has just been issued. Congratulations, you are the fastest to become a Chunin in our batch. Watergate laughed. Isn't the battlefield like this? As long as you have enough contributions or accumulated enough merits, isn't it just a matter of time to be promoted to a chunin or jonin? Akira Uchiha said. Wartime is indeed different from peacetime, and a large number of chunin and jonin will be promoted. Akira Uchiha chatted with Watergate while walking to an open place. After all, they haven't seen each other for a long time. What have you been doing recently, Watergate? Vigilance responsible for the security of the surrounding area. Most of the genin are performing this task. Watergate also came back after a busy day. When he heard that Akira Uchiha's team had returned, he came to find him. What about you? Watergate asked. Our team went to the surrounding intelligence stronghold. Then we had a fight with the rock ninjas. Akira Uchiha picked up some things to tell Watergate. That's good. I also want to go to the battlefield to see it. Watergate sighed. What's there to see in that place? If you are not careful, your companions will die. We almost died this time, but the others in the intelligence stronghold were not so lucky. Akira Uchiha shook his head. Jiraiya didn't let you go. It is completely to protect you. By the way, where is your sensei Jiraiya? Akira Uchiha found that he didn't meet Jiraiya when he went to the camp. Did he go to get materials again? No. There is no bathroom or anything like that around here. Where can he get materials? Watergate said, but he was not confident. After all, his sensei's previous novel was a flop, and even the publisher went bankrupt. He has been talking about looking for inspiration. There are a lot of small towns in the land of rain. Don't look at the mess here. It is said that the industrial chain is very developed. Akira Uchiha revealed the gossip he got from Rope Tree. Hearing this, Watergate began to waver. Could it be that Jiraiya, who hasn't appeared for a long time, really went to get materials? Sensei just left him like that. It was too irresponsible. Akira Uchiha thought about it and felt that Watergate was quite pitiful. After a while, Jiraiya would leave Watergate alone and teach his disciple in the land of rain. Moreover, he would teach for 3 years. Without Jiraiya, Watergate could only ask Akira Uchiha. Forget it, let's not talk about this. I still have a few questions about Wind Escape. Chin, are you free? Yes. Akira Uchiha nodded. Okay. Sleep at my place tonight. We can slowly discuss this knowledge. Watergate rubbed his hands excitedly. Chapter 135. Just like that, Minato pulled his good friend Uchiha-chan and prepared to sleep together. Although Uchiha-chan said that he didn't want it, his body was honest. After all, he liked to be passive. At this time in the camp, Tsunade and Orochimaru continued to discuss the war. Don't we need any more reinforcements for Shigeru? The side effects of his secret technique are quite big. Tsunade was a little worried. It doesn't matter. You know Shigeru's strength. He can deal with all kinds of problems. Orochimaru said lightly. Speaking of Hatsuki Shigeru, even a proud person like Orochimaru respected him. He had enough confidence in his opponent's strength. That's true. This time, the reinforcements are the elites of various clans. Tsunade nodded. If it weren't for the Sandaime-sama's reinforcements, we wouldn't have been able to mobilize ninjas to support him. Tsunade laughed. If these clans didn't reach an agreement, why would they send reinforcements? Orochimaru said disdainfully. Orochimaru's words weren't unreasonable. The war has been going on for more than a year, and now the war in the Land of Rain is in a stalemate. The reason is that Wood Leaf isn't a monolith. A ninja war is not a trivial matter. Which ninjas to send to the battlefield, and which ninjas to stay in Wood Leaf is a very important problem. Civilian ninjas are easy to deal with, but clan ninjas are very troublesome. How many people each clan sends is always a thorny problem. Some clans are few in number and want to preserve their strength, so they don't want to send so many ninjas. Some clans want to send a large number of troops to the battlefield to gain merits. After all, once enough merits are accumulated, as long as there is a little publicity in the village, it is easy to be molded as a hero of Wood Leaf. If they want to compete for the 4th Naruto in the future, then these things can easily be converted into political capital. But some of the higher-ups don't want to see this situation. Therefore, since there was a dispute, then let the battlefield remain in a stalemate. In any case, the village was strong enough to afford it, but the other villages couldn't. It was because of this mentality that the battle dragged on. Such filth was common in almost every village, and Orochimaru was already used to it. It's not easy for the third-generation old man either. Tsunade's explanation was a little weak. They don't think that they can defeat other villages by relying on these civilian ninjas, right? Orochimaru said sarcastically. Tsunade patted his head helplessly. He felt that his teammate was developing in the direction of a nationalistic youth. But since this group of ninjas has come to support us, as long as we maintain this stalemate and nibble away at them one by one, we should be able to end the war in the Land of Rain soon. Tsunade changed the topic. But they won't give us a chance to nibble at them. Orochimaru shook his head. Iwagakure is obviously anxious now. They even sent Manchuriki. Do you think they will continue to fight with us? But the Yambi Manchuriki has been stopped by Shigeru. Tsunade frowned. Iwagakure doesn't have the Yambi Manchuriki, but there is still the sand in Hanzo. Orochimaru's golden eyes looked at Tsunade. You mean they will join forces with Sakura Shinobu and Hanzo? Tsunade raised an eyebrow. After saying this, she shook her head again. Impossible. Sakura Shinobu has already begun to retreat. Let's not talk about the Wind Country's treasury being insufficient. The 3 generations of Kazekage vowed before the war that they would occupy the Land of Rain in 3 months. Now they have nothing, so they can only retreat. Tsunade analyzed the situation. Orochimaru shook his head. But according to Jiraiya's news, a large amount of supplies suddenly appeared in the Sand Village. Tsunade took a deep breath. How is that possible? How did they get the food? Orochimaru said with a blank expression. I thought about it for a long time, and I can only think of one place that can provide this food. Where? The Fire Country. Orochimaru said word by word. Are you sure? Tsunade stood up, and the chair was knocked down by her. Orochimaru nodded. That's enough to support a village. I can only think of the Fire Country. Orochimaru continued to analyze. If it's really the Fire Country that sold it, then there are 2 possibilities. The first is that the Fire Country's Chamber of Commerce secretly contacted the Wind Country's ninja conference and secretly sold the food to them at a high price. Although there are risks in this kind of thing, if the benefits are high enough, it's not impossible to take the risk. Of course, this is only one possibility. There is another possibility. Orochimaru carefully considered his words. Since most of the Chamber of Commerce in the Fire Country is controlled by the daimyo, then the mastermind behind this matter may be the Fire Country's daimyo. Are you serious? Even Tsunade couldn't accept Orochimaru's speculation. The Fire Country's daimyo openly supported the enemy country's ninja during the war. If this were to spread, the reputation of the Fire Country would plummet. And what would the ninjas on the battlefield think? In contrast, Tsunade was more willing to believe the first possibility. The Fire Country's Chamber of Commerce secretly supported the Wind Country's Sand Village in exchange for a huge reward. I'm serious. Orochimaru nodded. To be honest, I'm more willing to believe the second possibility. The Wind Country is barren all year round and located in the desert. In terms of material output, it's at the bottom. It's even worse than the Earth Country. It's impossible to have a long-term war with a country rich in resources like the Fire Country. Okay. Tsunade didn't understand what Orochimaru meant, so he nodded and asked his doubts again. In that case, what benefits can the Fire Country get? Increasing the strength of the enemy for no reason, and making things difficult for the ninjas of their country? Orochimaru sighed. What are ninjas? After all, ninjas are just knives in the hands of the daimyo. As the supreme ruler of a country, it's impossible for the daimyo to consider things from the perspective of a ninja, because he's just an ordinary person who controls the country. For ordinary people, no matter how sharp the knife in their hands is, it's not a particularly important thing, only the benefits are the most important. Isn't war just for the sake of plundering benefits? Now that there's a chance to make money in war, who cares about the lives of ninjas? Orochimaru stood up and looked at Xiaoyu outside. He was a little disinterested in this war. Do you have any evidence? Tsunade asked. No. Orochimaru replied. If there's evidence, why would I guess? So, what are you going to do? Tsunade calmed down and sat down again. I'm not doing anything. Wait until the war in the Land of Rain is over. Yes, Tsunade sighed. The most important thing now is the decisive battle in the Land of Rain. It's just that she suddenly felt tired. She didn't know if this tiredness was because of the village or the fire country. Perhaps after this war is over, I can go on a trip to another country as I please? Tsunade stood up while thinking. The sigh also came out. Chapter 136. The next morning, Akira Uchiha greeted Rope Tree with a tired face. Morning, Rope Tree. Chun, where did you go last night? Rope Tree asked in confusion. Watergate pestered me the whole night, talking to him about ninjutsu. Akira Uchiha forced himself to stay awake. But I just met Watergate. His face is glowing. God knows why he's so energetic. Let's go to the mission site. Akira Uchiha took the lead and led Rope Tree to the gate. Last night, Dabai relayed the message from Orochimaru to them, mainly asking them to join the Genin patrol team. In Orochimaru's words, this mission was easy and not dangerous. It was almost specially prepared for Genin like them. After encountering so many threats, Akira Uchiha was happy to accept this mission. So early in the morning, he took Mikoto and Rope Tree to the mission site. When they arrived, there were already many Genin teams. Akira Uchiha's green vest was very eye-catching. Are you Akira Uchiha's team? A gentle voice sounded in Akira Uchiha's ears. He looked up and saw a jounin in his early 20s. He had blue hair and a gentle expression. Yesterday afternoon, I received a notice from the higher-ups, saying that a new team is needed. The person continued. Yes, it's us. Akira Uchiha stood up and pointed at Rope Tree and Mikoto behind him. You are Taka Kato? No. Jounin Kato? Akira Uchiha immediately changed his words. He just said the name of his idol without thinking. Kato smiled and didn't care about Akira Uchiha's subtle typos. It's me. I'm now the Jonin in charge of the investigation team. Welcome to join us. Beside him stood his 3 subordinates. It was the Lujio trio that he hadn't seen for a long time. You're only 10 years old, and you're already a Chunin. Chun, you're amazing. Kato Duan smiled and patted Akira Uchiha's shoulder. Unlike my 3 good-for-nothing disciples, Yizichin said. Teacher, being a Chunin is very troublesome. Lujio hugged his head with a look of disdain. Kato Duan was also very clear about Sergio's character, so he could only smile helplessly. Shikaku turned around and nodded at Akira Uchiha. Long time no see, Shun, Rope Tree and Mikoto. Akira Uchiha and the other 2 also greeted the other party. Since they came to the camp, they were sent out by Orochimaru, so they haven't seen their former classmates for a long time. Your Chunin vest is very beautiful. Choza stretched out his hand and wanted to touch Akira Uchiha's light green vest. Uchiha-chan didn't hesitate to block Chozo's finger that was full of snacks. Choza saw that his prank didn't work, so he licked the crumbs on his hand. Chun, I heard that you went to the battlefield to perform a mission. How was it? Inoichi hurriedly asked while he was still free in the morning. After all, no matter how mature he is, he's only a 10-year-old child. It's inevitable that he's interested in gossip. It's okay. It's just that we encountered the rock ninjas. Akira Uchiha also briefly explained their mission. The war didn't change Shikaku and the others much. They were still lazy as before. After all, they were always in Woodleaf's camp, and the occasional battle was between the same level. Kato Duan stood aside and flipped through the mission list in his hand. He had already read the information about Akira Uchiha yesterday. Although he's only 10 years old, his strength can't be judged by common sense. Kato Duan clapped his hands and interrupted the conversation. Chun, each team's patrol area has been assigned. You can go with Shikaku and the others to patrol and familiarize yourself with the situation. What do you think? Yes, you can arrange it. Akira Uchiha nodded. Since the assignment has been done, Akira Uchiha and the others got up and rushed to the mission site. It's called a mission site, but it's just stationed in a dense forest. For each team, they were stationed in different positions, so they formed a circle and surrounded the camp. Is this the so-called investigation? In one of the giant trees, Rope Tree's head poked out from the rain-soaked leaves. He looked extremely displeased. He thought that the investigation would be like Pomuro and the others, but who knew that everyone would find a tree to hide in? No wonder this place is very safe. After what happened last time, Rope Tree started to mature. However, this kind of peace wasn't what he wanted. He stood up and wanted to see where Akira Uchiha and the others were. However, only the sound of rain could be heard in the forest. Even Rope Tree didn't know where the other 5 people were. Rope Tree could only angrily hide again. In a tree hole about 10 meters northeast of Rope Tree's position, Akira Uchiha was lying down leisurely. Rain was flying through the narrow hole. In the blurry scenery due to the thick cumulus clouds, only the sound of rain hitting the leaves was particularly clear. Akira Uchiha had a premonition that a big battle was about to happen. It was just the calm before the storm. This kind of uneasiness was like dancing debris, constantly flashing past his eyes. It was so heavy that he couldn't breathe, making him even more irritated. However, everything within a radius of 10 meters was still under Dabai's control. Just when Akira Uchiha was about to fall asleep, he was suddenly awakened by White. Immediately, he looked up and saw that outside the forest, there were ninjas coming here. And looking at their clothes, they were ninjas from Iwagakure. A big battle was finally about to begin. Chapter 137. Between the gaps of the wet tree hole. The pouring rain was like flames dancing in the wind, whistling past. For a time, countless red signal flares crossed the entire sky, exploding dazzling light. Akira Uchiha frowned. He didn't find it strange that the rock ninjas appeared in front of him. After all, these rock ninjas have been organizing attacks on the camp. But among these signal flares, he could distinguish at least 3 different ones. Does that mean the enemy isn't just the rock ninjas? Akira Uchiha hesitated for a while. This is a situation he has never encountered before. You know, the 4 forces in the Land of Rain have been fighting with each other. Did the rock ninjas join forces with someone? Akira Uchiha raised his head and looked at the distant horizon. If it was a normal day, he would sit down and enjoy the beautiful scenery in front of him. But the killing is destined to dye this land red. It's a pity. Such a colorful fireworks show. Such a strange thought suddenly flashed in Akira Uchiha's mind. At this time, there were a total of 6 rock ninjas rushing towards the forest. One of them was a jonin, 2 were chunin, and the rest were genin. The other side didn't have many people, and it seems like they want to be stationed here. In an instant, Akira Uchiha judged the other side's mission, human head dog. The main force of the rock ninjas is attacking the Woodleaf camp. These ninjas are on the periphery to kill the Woodleaf ninjas who want to escape. But it doesn't matter. The most important thing now is to kill the enemy in front of him, break their line of defense, and send Mikoto, Rope Tree and Shikaku out. Now the farther away from the Woodleaf camp, the safer it is. The main battlefield is not safe, let alone a few genin. So it's better to hurry up and save this useful body to avenge those who are about to become martyrs. Akira Uchiha made up his mind and instantly left his hiding place and rushed to the jonin in front. He must end the battle quickly. There should be quite a number of teams like this in the vicinity. Once they got tangled up, they would be surrounded. Once surrounded, to put it bluntly, Rope Tree Shikaku would only be a burden. The rain drenched Akira Uchiha's windbreaker. His speed instantly increased. At the same time, the lightning in his hand illuminated the murky surroundings. Akira Uchiha's pupils also changed from pure black to blood-red magatama. Under the acceleration of the lightning escape, his body's speed increased by another level. In an instant he reached the front of the rock ninja. Akira Uchiha's aggressive way of attacking had already attracted the rock's attention. However, the rock ninja didn't expect Woodleaf Chunin to be this fast. Just a moment ago, he was still far away, but in just a breath's time, that little ghost appeared in front of him. The lightning escape in the little ghost's hand directly smashed towards his face. If that happened, not only would he be disfigured, he might even lose his life. How much hatred does he have to be so ruthless? In a hurry, he used his katana to cut the little ghost's right hand. But the little ghost seemed to have seen it in advance, and with the lightning escape, he attacked the Chunin behind him. He immediately looked back and saw a horrifying scene. The two Chunin stood still. Their eyes were dull. Obviously they were under genjutsu. Then they raised their kunai at the same time, and directly stabbed each other's abdomen. This situation is just a command given by Uchiha Chun using genjutsu. He ordered them to attack the people around him. Then the two Chunin picked up their kunai and stabbed each other. The Sharingan made Akira Uchiha's genjutsu even more ghostly. The remaining genin took out their shurikens and threw them at Akira Uchiha. Tank! Chizu's voice came. A huge wheel-like body came crashing over, knocking away the shuriken. Whoosh! Mikoto, Rope Tree, and Shikaku appeared beside Akira Uchiha. Are you okay, Shin? Mikoto asked. Akira Uchiha shook his head and locked his eyes on the rock ninja. The war has begun, let's kill them first. Akira Uchiha said. Mikoto nodded, and the Sharingan instantly appeared in her eyes. No problem, I've been wanting to do something big for a long time. Rope Tree was also excited. Hey, don't be so excited. The other side is a jonin. Shikaku frowned. Shin, are you sure we can kill them? After all, Shikaku and the others were not like Akira Uchiha who had experienced so many life and death situations. After all, they were just 10-year-old children, and the opponents they faced were only bandits or genin. So when facing a jonin, Shikaku and the others had different degrees of hesitation. From this, it can be seen that not to mention Uchiha Chun, even Mikoto and Nobunaga have stood out from their peers, and are far from being comparable to others of their age. No problem, I'll leave the rest to you. Akira Uchiha rushed out. When the jonin saw Uchiha Chun rushing over, it was as if the Grim Reaper was smiling at him, giving him an uneasy sense of danger. You're courting death, kid. He roared and printed with both hands. Earth Release, Earth Spear. Suddenly, a sharp rock appeared on the ground and pressed towards Akira Uchiha. Akira Uchiha didn't care, and punched directly. The sharp Earth Release was broken by Akira Uchiha. Then, while running at high speed, he held the huge sharp Earth Spear in his hand and smashed it towards the jonin. Looking at this kid's unrestrained fighting style, the jonin's eyes unconsciously twitched. He jumped and dodged the Earth Spear. The jonin waved his katana and slashed towards Akira Uchiha's head. Akira Uchiha blocked the katana with his right hand. Immediately, he printed with his left hand and gathered chakra in his throat. This is... The rock ninja's face was full of panic. He just wanted to get away from this kid. However, his legs strangely stopped in place. Then, the blue veins on his face and arms popped out, but it didn't help. He felt that the more he tried, the more he couldn't move. When did he fall into genjutsu? But it was too late. Akira Uchiha took a deep breath, and like a gun he sprayed a flame on the jonin's face. In this case, the rock ninja only had one thought in his mind, and that was to die together with this kid. In an instant, the explosive tag in his ninja bag made a tearing sound. Boom! A violent explosion rang out. Smoke and flying rocks blocked everyone's line of sight in an instant. Everyone stopped what they were doing and looked at the smoke from the explosion. Then the sound of footsteps sounded, and Akira Uchiha's figure slowly walked out of the thick smoke. Chapter 138. From Shikaku's understanding of Akira Uchiha, he always thought that the other party was a genjutsu-type ninja. But the change in the nature of the lightning attribute, coupled with the speed far beyond Chunin's level, undoubtedly showed that Akira Uchiha was a taijutsu-type ninja. Could it be that Chunin is so versatile these days? Shikaku was speechless. Akira Uchiha's real strength is certainly not Chunin's. Not to mention anything else, if his strength was only at Chunin's level, he would have been killed directly after graduation. Just as Shikaku's imagination was running wild, Uchiha-chan appeared from the smoke and slowly walked towards him. The shoes on his feet had become wet and heavy after absorbing a large amount of rainwater from the seams, and they made an unpleasant sloshing sound that was particularly loud in the woods. But this sound in the ears of the rock ninjas was like an indescribable melody. A moment of joy and pain, like thawing ice and snow, awakened in the depths of their hearts. For a moment, Their eyes were a little dull. Immediately, Akira Uchiha took out 4 kunai from his ninja bag. Without any fancy tricks, the kunai directly rushed to the vital points of the 4 ninjas. Puff, 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 puff for consecutive sounds of piercing into the throat. Then the 4 ninjas fell directly into the pool of water. Like a performance, a clean and neat team was wiped out. Mikoto and Rope Tree saw this scene and didn't have any surprise. They were used to Akira Uchiha's strength. But Shikaku, Choza, and Inoichi showed a shocked expression. Also, anyone who saw a 10-year-old Chunin with such strength would have the same reaction. When he thought of the fact that he was entangled with these people for a long time, a sense of reality spontaneously arose. There is no doubt that Akira Uchiha is the so-called neighbor's ninja. Noticing Shikaku's gaze, Akira Uchiha touched his face and said, "What's wrong, Shikaku? Is there something wrong? Did I become more handsome again?" No. I'm just a little surprised by your strength. By the way, why didn't you tell us about the enemy?" Shikaku asked. Akira Uchiha raised his eyebrows. "Can I say that I think you guys are too slow?" But if he said that, he would definitely be killed by the kunai. So he had to change his words. Well, the situation was urgent. Shikaku nodded and didn't continue to ask. "What should we do next?" Rope Tree, who had finished collecting the corpses, asked while holding the scroll. Everyone just saw the signal flare. Not only our signal, but also the enemy's signal. I got some information from Orochimaru-sensei. This should be a large-scale attack organized by the Rock Ninjas and other villages. Chun ordered Bai to keep an eye on the surroundings while recovering his chakra. If that's the case, this kind of joint attack can only be organized once. In other words, this is the final battle of the Land of Rain battlefield. Shikaku immediately reacted after hearing Akira Uchiha's words. That's right. Let's assume that Iwagakure joined forces with the Land of Rain and Sakura Shinobu. In other words, now on the battlefield, with Leaf is fighting 1 against 3. Akira Uchiha raised his eyebrows. Now the battlefield is definitely a meat grinder. This kind of situation is no longer something a genin should be involved in. Uchiha-chan looked around at the others with a solemn expression. So what do you think? Akira Uchiha's voice echoed in the rainy night. What he meant was very simple. If the few of them were to enter the battlefield, they would definitely be cannon fodder like ashes. If they leave the battlefield now, it means that they can survive. But if they enter the battlefield, then there is a high chance that they will die. This is a very simple multiple-choice question. And it depends on how they choose. Of course, no one will blame them for leaving. After all, they just annihilated a small team. Hesitation. Struggle. Survival. Or death. This is a question. For a while, they were silent. No one wants to die. Everyone is just a 10-year-old child. Although they usually yearn for the battlefield, it is thousands of people fighting together. No one can take care of you. At this time, anyone will hesitate. After a minute of silence, Akira Uchiha stood up. Since no one can make the decision, he decided to make it for them. Wait a minute. Shun. Akira Uchiha, who was about to leave, was stopped by Rope Tree. Akira Uchiha turned back. What's wrong? Rope Tree hesitated. Let's go to the battlefield. Have you thought about it? Yes. Rope Tree touched the scar on his hand with a trembling voice. My second grandfather, father, and mother all died on the battlefield. My sister is also on the battlefield now. Pomuro also died on the battlefield in order to cover us. The ninjas in the village are all fighting on the battlefield. I can't retreat, and I don't want to retreat. Rope Tree's voice echoed in the rain. Rope Tree grabbed his trembling hand. Yes, I know I'm a fool, and my strength is not good enough. But I also want to do something for the village. Even if I have to pay with my life, it doesn't matter. This is my way of ninja. What about you? Akira Uchiha looked at Shikaku. War is troublesome. But abandoning the fallen companions. There is no one in our team who would give up fighting for their own safety, including me. Shikaku, who was troubled, also raised his eyebrows. Choza and Oichi also nodded and leaned over. As for Mikoto, Akira Uchiha didn't need to ask. Because the girl will always stand by Akira Uchiha's side to accompany him. Okay, since you have decided, follow me. Let's quickly cut into the battlefield and return to Woodleaf's camp in the shortest time possible. Akira Uchiha took out his kunai. If we can survive, I will return to Woodleaf and treat you to barbecue. Chapter 139. Akira Uchiha cautiously walked through the forest while carefully inspecting the surroundings. At this time Chino suddenly approached. Hey Chino. What's wrong? Uchiha turned his head. It's just that he was a bit uncomfortable with Chino's eager eyes. What Rope Tree said to you before made me a bit concerned. Are you in a relationship with him? As soon as Chino's voice fell, several eyes focused on Akira Uchiha. Akira Uchiha was stunned, and his eyes drifted to Rope Tree. Rope Tree's eyes also happened to meet Chino's, and his face began to blush. No. Akira Uchiha immediately denied. Ha! Aren't you two in love? Akira Uchiha's eyes twitched, but he still shook his head with certainty. Chino waved his hand. Don't misunderstand, I'm not discriminating against this kind of love. True love has nothing to do with age, gender, or even species. What love, you're mistaken. Akira Uchiha said helplessly. Is that so? Unfortunately, I wanted to discuss this experience with you. Dingzwo was a little disappointed, but his eyes glanced at the blonde ponytailed Inoi. For a moment, everyone laughed, and the oppressive atmosphere condensed by fear began to dissipate. Akira Uchiha, who was still a bit worried, gradually calmed down. After all, fear is something you can't control. Sometimes it came without rhyme or reason, especially when it was on a battlefield full of people and slaughter. And an unfamiliar environment will undoubtedly magnify this kind of fear infinitely. Chino only used a joke to dissipate this kind of fear. Even Uchiha-chan couldn't help but admire Kuroto. He was a bit emotional. It seems that the Akamichi clan is the kind of people who look rough, but have a delicate mind. Akira Uchiha suppressed these thoughts and continued to lead the way. Now they are halfway through the journey, but there are still no traces of the rock ninjas. They don't have a team of jonins, so if they want to break through the enemy's defense line, they have to be careful. Aside from being limited by distance, Debai's detection ability also couldn't detect anything below the ground. At this time, if there are ninjas who use earth release to ambush them, it will be a very troublesome thing. Akira Uchiha stepped on a smooth branch and leaped forward. A numbing sensation traveled from Akira Uchiha's neck. This was a warning from Debei after sensing the presence of a ninja. Akira Uchiha immediately sounded the alarm. A moment later, a red signal flare streaked across the sky. The source of the signal flare was to his right, which was not far away. This signal flare was Woodleaf's ninja distress signal. Akira Uchiha had a bold idea in a split second. Therefore, he decided to save her. Be careful. I'll take care of them quickly. Don't get surrounded. After saying that, he ran toward the source of the signal without hesitation. In less than half a minute, Akira Uchiha arrived at the location of the signal. At this time there was a three-man team in front of him. They were not rock ninjas but sand ninjas. Akira Uchiha glanced at them, and found that two of the sand ninjas were besieging the third jonin, and the other Sakura Shinobu was playing with the three genins. The other party didn't look like a team of jonins. Or rather, they were all sand ninjas. In this case, if Akira Uchiha didn't come, this team would probably be wiped out. After all, it's popular to not abandon your teammates. Of course, in Akira Uchiha's eyes, this kind of bond is actually the same as friendship. At this time, the three genins couldn't hold on any longer. Seeing this situation, Akira Uchiha directly rushed toward Sakura Shinobu. The blood-red Sharingan was spinning wildly. Akira Uchiha was running while constantly adjusting the angle of his kunai. In just an instant, the kunai made a rumbling sound like a cannonball, and went straight to the enemy's back. Uchiha-chan also drew a line in the air and approached his opponent like a flash of black light. Sakura Shinobu was also surprised. He thought it was Woodleaf support. However, when he took a closer look, he saw that it was only a little kid who was about 10 years old. This made him lower his vigilance. Is it the so-called bond? He was a little disdainful. In his opinion, it's extremely stupid to rush over without knowing the difference in strength. So what if there are 3 or 4 people? It's just a massacre for him. However, just as he was distracted, the kunai had already arrived in front of him. F***CK, what the hell? This is a cheat. This fierce attack immediately reminded him of a nightmare, with Leaf's white fang. The kunai with a black luster gave him a feeling that it was as dangerous as with Leaf's white fang's dagger. There's no other way, he had already missed the reaction time, so he could only lose a puppet. Under the control of chakra in his hand, the puppet quickly moved. Then in the next moment, the puppet, which was made of solid wood and cast with steel, was instantly penetrated by the kunai as if it was made of paper. After penetrating the puppet, the kunai didn't slow down and shot into the ground. Boom! After the smoke dissipated, a large crater appeared on the ground. With the puppet's destruction, Akira Uchiha was also slightly surprised. He didn't expect that this kind of strange force throw would be so destructive to the puppet. But thinking about it with this kind of speed, coupled with the sharp tip of the kunai, this kind of contact, what can't be penetrated? Sakura Shinobu, who escaped by using the puppet, also ate a whale. He immediately became alert, and increased the danger level of this kid by a few points. Sakura Shinobu cursed in his heart. What the hell is wrong with the Embu? Why is there no information at all? He has already made up his mind, if he survives this time, he must complain to the Embu Intelligence Department. While Sakura Shinobu was distracted, Akira Uchiha appeared behind him. He quickly chopped down with his kunai. The sand ninja shook the chakra in his hand, and another puppet blocked the kunai. The kunai collided with the puppet. This time, the puppet was not damaged at all. Sakura Shinobu's face was happy. It seems that every attack can't easily destroy the puppet. After blocking the attack, Sakura Shinobu quickly began to make hand seals. Suddenly, a shadow connected to Sakura Shinobu's body along the ground. His hands that were making hand seals also stopped. Akira Uchiha looked and found that Shikaku had finally arrived. This is not your battle alone. Shikaku chuckled. Akira Uchiha calmly took out his kunai and directly stabbed it into the enemy's head. Chapter 140. With a muffled sound, the Sand Jonin died unwillingly. Iwagi, I'm going to kill you to avenge him. The other 2 Sakura Shinobu were pinned down by the Jonin, watching their teammate die in the hands of a little kid. The seed of hatred spread again. Everyone was caught in the vortex of revenge for their own sake. But this kind of philosophical question was not something the ninjas present should think about. Survival was everyone's first consideration. So Akira Uchiha pulled out his kunai, and went straight to the remaining 2 Sakura Shinobu. For a time, the Sakura Shinobu who had the upper hand immediately became the weaker side. It was obvious that they had noticed this as well. They can take down a Jonin together. But if the other side has another Jonin, the original advantage will be gone. What, you're saying that it's just a little kid wearing Chunin's vest, not a Jonin? Don't joke, have you ever seen Chunin kill a Jonin like a chicken? You don't believe it. Come on, Iwagi's body is still warm. Do you want to take advantage of it? So the 2 Sakura Shinobu looked at each other. The tacit understanding of many years made them have a tacit understanding. In that case, let's go first. As for Iwagi, we'll avenge him later. Thus, a perfect escape plan was completed within a second. Sakura Shinobu suddenly broke out a huge amount of combat power. And the Jonin who was already at a disadvantage suddenly couldn't resist. The complicated chakra string shook slightly, and the puppet hidden under the ground immediately drilled out. A tempting dark red gas spurted out from the puppet's butt. Wind release breakthrough. Seeing the red gas, Akira Uchiha, who had been prepared for this, immediately held his breath. At the same time, he made a hand seal and used a wind release ninjutsu to blow away the poison in the puppet. The 2 Sakura Shinobu didn't care about anything else. The smoke bombs, explosive charms, toilet paper, and some rubber balloons in the ninja bag were thrown out. For a moment, the smoke from the explosion filled the air. This time, there was no need for Akira Uchiha to do anything. The few people who had rushed over started to use their wind escape technique to disperse the smoke. After the smoke dissipated, Sakura Shinobu had also disappeared. So Sakura Shinobu ran away just like that? Didn't they say they were going to take revenge? Under normal circumstances, Akira Uchiha would have chased after the two Sakura Shinobu puppeteers and killed them. But forget it for now. Who knew if there were other Sakura Shinobu along the way? What if they were surrounded by them? Seeing that the danger is gone, the surrounded Jonin is exhausted and sits on the ground. Thank you for saving us, Kuroto shouted towards Uchiha-chen's position. Akira Uchiha didn't reply. He just quietly looked at the ninja, and then fell into deep thought. The other party felt like he was 20 years old, but he also felt like he was 30 years old. He had a black explosive hairstyle and a luxuriant beard because he took care of it for a long time. Akira Uchiha knocked on his head. He felt like he had seen this person somewhere before. He must have seen such a wretched face somewhere before. But he just couldn't remember. Just when Akira Uchiha was still pretending to be deep in thought, the Jonin couldn't stand the kid's gaze anymore and walked over. Did I owe you money? So you have to look at me like that? When he got closer to Akira Uchiha, he noticed that the other party's back was covered in blood. It was obvious that the battle just now was very fierce. Hey, I feel like I've seen him somewhere before. What do you think? Akira Uchiha pushed Rope Tree's arm. Now that you mention it. Rope Tree rested his chin on his hand. Let me search through my memory palace. Akira Uchiha. Are you big brother Shinsosuke? Rope Tree wasn't good in other aspects, but he was good at gathering information. Hey, are you Rope Tree? You've grown so big. The bearded uncle also recognized Rope Tree. It's really you. We haven't seen each other for 5 years. I remember you're only 17 years old this year. How did you become like this? Rope Tree asked. Akira Uchiha was shocked, Mikoto was shocked, everyone present was shocked. Rope Tree, are you sure this person is 17 years old? With that beard, I would believe you if you said he was 30 years old. Shinsosuke awkwardly touched his beard. Accident, it was a pure accident. I'm a man who pays attention to personal hygiene, and I'm a bit of a clean freak. Believe me. I don't believe you. Rope Tree pointed to Shinsosuke and said, let me introduce you. This is Uncle Naruto's son, Sarutobi Shinsosuke. Oh. Akira Uchiha finally remembered. No wonder he felt like he had seen him somewhere before. Wasn't this wretched face the same as the third-generation old man? Akira Uchiha was still a bit excited. He finally met the man who was rumored to be the worst in Woodleaf. Why did he say that? Naruto was filled with memories. But in so many pages, there was a person who had never been remembered by his father, brother, and son. How pitiful must he have been? But thinking about it, when Woodleaf Maru was born, it was already 50 years old in Woodleaf. In other words, this Shinsosuke classmate gave birth to Woodleaf Maru when he was almost 40 years old. He shouldn't have a problem in that area, right? Otherwise, how could the third-generation Naruto give birth to Asuma when he was 40 years old? Akira Uchiha seemed to have realized something. Right, brother Shinsosuke, where have you been all these years without any news? Rope Tree asked. Over the years he had been inquiring about him, but unfortunately there was no news. I was thrown into the Ambu these years, Sarutobi Shinsosuke helplessly said. Of course, this story started many years ago. At that time, Woodleaf had a violent devil incarnate. She relied on the fact that she was the third generation of an official to do whatever she wanted. That devil incarnate only had 3 special hobbies in her life, namely gambling, losing money, and drinking. Under normal circumstances, this kind of person who brought bad social atmosphere must be strictly guarded by the guards or the Ambu. But because of this person's special identity, basically no one dared to provoke her. Later, she lost a lot of money. So she gathered a group of children with deep background to be her hired thugs. Among them, Sarutobi Shinsosuke was her staunch supporter. Later, the government thought of the third-generation Naruto and banned this illegal organization. The other people in the organization were smoothly washed white and became good people. Only Sarutobi Shinsosuke was thrown into the Ambu by his father. So, this was really a sad story. Chapter 141. Since the addition of Shinosuke, the morale of the entire team has risen. Originally, only Akira Uchiha carried the team forward. Once an enemy appeared, he would step forward to deal with them. Now there is another jonin which completely shares a lot of the pressure for him. Shinosuke simply bandaged his wounds and hurriedly proposed to Akira Uchiha to continue deeper into the battlefield. In his words, without a super force like him on the battlefield, Wood Leaf's overall strength will be greatly reduced. Akira Uchiha was very skeptical about this sentence. It can be seen from the fact that he's only an ordinary jonin. His strength can only be considered as an ordinary jonin. If his strength is really at the level of Tsunade and Orochimaru, then he will definitely stay in the camp and not be a babysitter. Akira Uchiha can only think of Shinosuke as the proud son of Naruto. So in such a big chaotic battle with thousands of people, Shinosuke can't change the situation. But what if a dozen of such jonins rush into the battlefield? Akira Uchiha knows a lot of jonins who are carrying out reconnaissance missions in the surrounding area. You know, Wood Leaf is now under a sneak attack. Why did the other party sneak attack? Isn't it to make you fight in a hurry? Although there are enough ninjas in the camp to defend, the jonins who are separated are also quite a considerable force. Once they immediately enter the battlefield, the original balance of the situation may be immediately disrupted. Sand and Rock also know this, so they separated these ninjas and didn't give them a chance to rush into the battlefield alone. If at this time, there is a force that can break through the defense and connect all these ninjas to the battlefield, what kind of effect will it have? What Akira Uchiha wants to do is such a thing. In fact, at this moment, the Sannin are also doing something similar. The three of them are jointly blocking Hanzo from entering the battlefield. Because once Hanzo enters, the original balance will immediately be broken. Akira Uchiha also knows that it is very difficult to do this kind of thing, because they don't have any skills or ninjutsu to hide their whereabouts. Along the way, the number of Sakura Shinobu also began to increase. With such a large group of people and such a big target, it is normal to be discovered. As a result, fighting and killing became a normal occurrence. Akira Uchiha wiped the rain from his hair. At this time, the wind was like a sharp knife, hitting the enemy in the distance. He once again killed a jonin of the Sand Village. Sarutobi Shinosuke couldn't say anything. He finally understood what it means to be a genius. The problem is that this Uchiha kid is not only strong, but also has a lot of chakra, unlike a 10-year-old kid. Shinosuke really wanted to grab Akira Uchiha and ask him, "Are you sure you are not from the Uzumaki clan?" Of course, Akira Uchiha is not an Uzumaki. He has so much chakra. This is actually the reason why he crazily adds points to chakra. His chakra has now reached the level of jonin. After all, for a man, endurance is very important. Moreover, the scroll on his wrist has a lot of chakra stored, which is enough to support him in the battle. These are the reasons why Akira Uchiha enters the battlefield. Would he be unprepared? Would he rush into the battlefield in a hot-headed manner like Rope Tree, shouting for the sake of the tribe? Of course, this will not happen. Akira Uchiha has enough confidence that as long as he is not surrounded, he will not die on the battlefield. And now is a once-in-a-lifetime time to harvest ninja points. Whether he can quickly improve his strength or not depends on whether he is fast or not. So Akira Uchiha is very excited now. But the atmosphere of Sakura Shinobu began to become oppressive. The tragic death of their teammate has undoubtedly aroused their anger. Akira Uchiha noticed that two huge wind blades were flying behind him. At the same time, one of the Sakura Shinobu made a hand seal and released a wind release air bullet. Although this kind of thing is not as powerful as the Sand Shikaka's air bullet, it is also a powerful wind release. If the coverage of this ninjutsu can continue to expand, it is not impossible to become an A-class ninjutsu. More importantly, the two Sakura Shinobu standing not far behind him didn't carry a puppet, but were constantly making hand seals. It seems that they are just ordinary ninjas. In that case, it will be easy. The Sharingan allowed Akira Uchiha to determine the location of the wind release in advance. He seized the opportunity and directly jumped up, just in time to avoid the wind release air bullet that cut through the air. The two Sakura Shinobu froze a little, and then became more vigilant of Akira Uchiha. As they continued to fight, their understanding of Uchiha-chan was also getting deeper and deeper. Fighting is a process of mutual understanding. The Chidori with strong penetrating power, and the ubiquitous genjutsu were slowly understood by them. After landing, Akira Uchiha didn't hesitate, since they are cautious enough to join hands to deal with him. Then he must solve it quickly. But only this kind of battle can make Akira Uchiha more excited. Since coming to this battlefield, Akira Uchiha found that he has become more eager to fight than before. But this is not a bad thing. A lightning release was formed in his hand, while the thunder attracted the attention of the two ninjas. Akira Uchiha didn't hesitate to rush toward the two ninjas. The ninja on the left looks more robust. It seems that in addition to wind release, he should also be good at taijutsu. The sand ninja on the other side is a lot shorter, although his body doesn't look thin, he is not strong. So when Akira Uchiha attacked, his first target is the stronger Sakura Shinobu. When he just waved his lightning release, the thunder in his hand has attracted their attention. And Akira Uchiha was very smart. He used his finger to release a genjutsu. So when he rushed to the two Sakura Shinobu, they just recovered their consciousness. Without hesitation, Akira Uchiha directly cut the neck of the stronger Sakura Shinobu. At the same time, the kunai in Akira Uchiha's hand drew a smooth trajectory and rushed toward the neck of the other Sakura Shinobu. Along with the sound of sharp weapons colliding, the kunai in his hand was intercepted by another kunai that flew over while it was moving forward. Squinting his eyes, Akira Uchiha found that there are now 3 more sand ninjas. Just like poking a hornet's nest, after killing a few, another group came out. Akira Uchiha sighed a little. Because of his young age and outstanding strength, Sakura Shinobu has completely treated him as a priority target. Then come. Akira Uchiha pointed at the ground soaked by the rain with the tip of his foot, and looked at the enemies in front of him who have increased to 4. And even farther away, Sakura Shinobu is still rushing over. Chapter 142. Under the silhouette of the rain, a short but intense battle ensued. Blood flew out, corpses crashed into trees, and in the blink of an eye, numerous ninjutsu collided with each other. The ninjas who were chasing after them surrounded them from an unknown distance. Their shouts tore through the forest, and countless sounds could be heard. 2 figures pounced from different directions. Before the tall Sakura Shinobu could make a move, his entire body was thrown out, and he crashed into a tree trunk not far away and rolled down. When he wanted to get up, kunai were already thrown over like rain. Fortunately, his companion's earth release was formed in time, and the kunai smashed into the earth wall. Sakura Shinobu didn't even have time to rejoice that he had escaped death, and the imp on the opposite side closed in without stopping for a moment. Sakura Shinobu retreated again. He continued to retreat. Finally, there was no way to retreat. The moment his back leaned against the tree trunk, an incomparably fierce punch smashed into his Adam's apple. The tree shook under the rain, and the leaves rustled down. Such a quick and clean kill of this ninja gave Sakura Shinobu a lot of pressure. The wind blew through the forest, and the fighting Sakura Shinobu kept cursing. In addition to anger, there was also fear in these cursing voices. That's right, fear of that boy. After all, this was already the 7th jonin that Akira Uchiha had killed. For Akira Uchiha, it was something to be happy about. Because the ninjas above the elite jonin level were all fighting on the main battlefield. And the ones carrying out the annihilation mission on the periphery were the most ordinary jonin, so this made him like a wolf in a flock of sheep. His endless methods caused his opponent to suffer greatly. Akira Uchiha took a deep breath. Now 2 more jonin appeared in front of him. Until now, there were still Sakura Shinobu on the way to support him. But fortunately, there were already 7 jonin and many chunin and genin in his team. This was already a force that could not be ignored, but it was not enough. Akira Uchiha needs to lead more ninjas to break through the defensive line. However, there was no point in thinking about it now, because Sakura Shinobu's attack had already arrived. This was a puppet that he had never seen before. In just a short while, Akira Uchiha had seen more puppets than he had seen in his entire life. Sakura Shinobu's puppets could be divided into 2 types. The first type was the humanoid puppets that Sakura Shinobu used. This kind of puppet was just like the literal meaning. It looked similar to a human. At most he would have a few more arms. The advantage of this kind of puppet was that it was easy to modify and maintain. It was very convenient to repair. If it wasn't a big problem, the puppet master could fix it himself. It was a general-purpose model. The second type was the beast-shaped puppet that appeared in front of Akira Uchiha. Akira Uchiha hadn't read much about this type of puppet. According to Akira Uchiha's experience, it should be a type that specialized in attack and speed. As for the others, he could only try it out slowly. However, no matter how the puppet changed, Akira Uchiha could just use his monstrous strength to break it. Monstrous strength could be said to be the puppet master's nemesis. Under monstrous strength, this kind of puppet would be no different from paper. This was something that Tsunade had already confirmed. Akira Uchiha, who was rushing in a straight line, didn't care about the beast-shaped puppet at all, and directly rushed towards the two Sakura Shinobu. At this time, it was already too late to call for reinforcements, so he might as well directly face it head-on. According to Akira Uchiha's observation of the number of chakra wires, controlling beast-shaped puppets was undoubtedly much more difficult than controlling humanoid puppets. The other Sakura Shinobu didn't take out the scroll to seal the puppet, but began to take out kunai. It seems to be an ordinary taijutsu-type ninja. Akira Uchiha was a little relieved, if there were two puppeteers. Although he wasn't afraid of Sakura Shinobu's puppets, but if there were more of them, it would be extremely difficult to deal with them. At the moment when Akira Uchiha and the puppet met, his fist didn't hesitate to hit the puppet. Just like that, a brand new puppet was smashed into pieces by the monstrous strength fist. In the next moment, Akira Uchiha faced the ninja holding the kunai. The kunai in his hand and the opponent's kunai collided 3 times in a row, and at the same time, Akira Uchiha suddenly rushed towards the left side of Sakura Shinobu's waist. He could see the sarcasm in the sand ninja's eyes. Obviously he was laughing at Akira Uchiha. His moves were too obvious. After the sand ninja easily blocked Akira Uchiha's kick, he bent his knees and raised his foot, ready to counterattack in the same way as Akira Uchiha. However, Akira Uchiha just raised his hand, and a crisp sound echoed in the air. Then the poor guy was caught off guard by Akira Uchiha's genjutsu. Although his consciousness was blurred, the inertia of his body couldn't be offset. Sakura Shinobu's taijutsu attack was still aimed at Akira Uchiha's chest. It's just that the speed was a lot slower because of the blurred consciousness. Akira Uchiha's reaction wasn't slow. Before the weakened taijutsu attack, he used his hand to support the ninja's thigh, perfectly avoiding the attack, and at the same time, he did a backflip. He directly stabbed the ninja's head. The 8th one, Akira Uchiha looked back. At this time, a sharp earth spear was already piercing his body. The puppet master had directly used his teammate, while Akira Uchiha couldn't move around. He threw this earth release ninjutsu at Akira Uchiha. Akira Uchiha didn't hesitate. Chidori instantly formed in his right hand. The earth spear directly collided with Akira Uchiha's right hand. After breaking the earth spear, Akira Uchiha didn't stop. He once again rushed towards the puppet master on the other side. Almost in an instant, he reached Sakura Shinobu's side. And then the Chidori in his right hand went straight to his neck. Sakura Shinobu wanted to use the chakra string in his hand to summon his puppet back. But he was immediately shocked to find that his body was in a state where he couldn't move. The 9th one. Akira Uchiha whispered to Sakura Shinobu like a good friend. At the same time, Chidori stabbed the ninja's chest. As Akira Uchiha's hands became more and more heads, wood leaf ninjas behind him also became more and more, and finally formed a huge torrent. Like a torrent of steel, it directly broke through the defense line formed by Sakura Shinobu and the rock ninjas, and approached the crazy battlefield. Chapter 143. Are the reinforcements coming? Woodleaf's reinforcements are coming. Ha ha ha, let's kill these bastards with me. Hundreds of ninjas suddenly appeared in the distance. For a time, the news of the arrival of Woodleaf's reinforcements, like the wind, quickly spread on the battlefield. Although there were less than 20 jonins in the so-called reinforcements, the rest were chunin and genin. However, the ninjas who were fighting didn't have time to distinguish this. They only knew that Woodleaf's reinforcements had arrived. For a time, All Woodleaf's ninjas were full of vigor. The situation that was originally in a stalemate also began to tilt. The ninjas all over the sky raised their kunai in their hands and shouted. In an instant, the sound of killing shook the earth. Looking at the scene in front of him, Akira Uchiha was so eager for victory at the moment. Vaguely, it was like a feeling of recognition for Woodleaf in his chest. At least at this moment, Akira Uchiha, who rushed into the battlefield, thought so. Akira Uchiha didn't know what this feeling was about. Since he crossed into the ninja world, it has been like a dream. For him, it was like completely giving up his previous life and couldn't find a home. Although he was in Woodleaf, he didn't have any sense of belonging to Woodleaf. For this world, he always had alienation. However, as time gradually went by, Akira Uchiha found that he had walked into a new life. In this world, compared to the previous ordinary life, it was countless times more dangerous. Cunning and killing between ninjas, it seems that anything can happen here. And Woodleaf was a home that could protect them. In addition, the excitement of killing on the battlefield at this moment infected Akira Uchiha, and finally made him feel a sense of belonging to Woodleaf. Perhaps occasionally he still missed the original world, but Akira Uchiha also began to feel that Woodleaf seemed to be good. With these thoughts in mind, Akira Uchiha took out his kunai. Instantly, the crowd spread out like a tide. At the same time, in a certain part of the battlefield, two figures collided with each other, and then separated from each other. After testing each other out, they were both a little wary of each other. Chio, did you hear that? Woodleaf's reinforcements have arrived. You still haven't obediently surrendered. The man shouted at Chio. The man was wearing the Hyuga clan uniform. He was the current patriarch of the Hyuga clan, Hyuga Akita. Chio's hands shook the chakra string as she coldly snorted. Don't use this kind of small trick. We all knew that there would be no Woodleaf reinforcements at a time like this. It's one thing to lie to others, but you want to lie to me? Hyuga Akira, are you out of your mind? Hyuga Sky sighed. Alas, as the flower of ninja, not only your figure, but also your temper is still as hot as when you were young. We've fought each other so many times. We've also had a deep understanding of each other. What's the point of fighting like this? It's better to sit down and talk about our past. What do you think? Hyuga Sky's pair of white eyes kept wandering around Chio's body. When Chio heard this, she glared at him with fire in her eyes. Hyuga Sky, take care of your eyes, or I'll take them out and step on them. Do you think we're unprepared for this war? Before we were just measuring the combat power of both sides. Chio's voice echoed in the rain. As Chio said, the strength of both sides is about the same, and neither side has that kind of overwhelming advantage. But in order to ensure that this war is foolproof, Sakura Shinobu has invested a lot of energy. They won't tolerate this kind of stalemate all the time. Woodleaf is 1 against 3. Even if it ends in a draw, it means the defeat of Sand, Rock and Rain. So it won't take long for Sand Village to throw in their trump card. As if responding to Chio's words, more than 10 ninjas rushed out from the rear of Sakura Shinobu, and rushed into the battlefield under the gaze of Hyuga Sky. These more than 10 ninjas turned out to be puppeteers, and as they ran, the boxes behind them opened, and puppets jumped out from the middle one by one. One by one, the puppets either raised a thin tube in the palm of their hand or opened a big mouth, and a purple smoke was released from the puppets, and began to spread on the battlefield. Sakura Shinobu once again used poison gas to fight, but this time the ninjas of Woodleaf Village didn't panic. The ninjas of Woodleaf Village who were surrounded by poison gas quickly took out the antidote from the ninja bag behind them and swallowed it, and continued to join the war. Chio, it seems that your poison is still not very good. Woodleaf Village has already developed an antidote for this poison. You should surrender obediently. Hyuga Sky sneered, looking at the gradually spreading purple mist indifferently. Unlike the previous 2 times when Woodleaf Village ninjas were defeated without any resistance, the battle in the purple mist didn't stop for a moment, and it was getting more and more intense. My poison isn't so easy to break. It seems that slut girl really has some skills. Seeing that her poison didn't have any effect, Chio coldly snorted, jumped up, and rushed to Hyuga Sky again. Hyuga Sky looked at Chio, who rushed over in anger, and chuckled. However, Chio suddenly changed direction in the air, and began to attack other ninjas. Looking at the incoming Chiyo, Konoha's ninjas also continuously shot kunai to attack her, but they were all easily dodged by Chiyo. Don't look down on people. Seeing that Chiyo easily rushed over from the kunai attack, a Chunin took off the wind demon shuriken from his back and shouted and threw it out. Chiyo's finger gently swiped, and the wind demon shuriken flying towards her in midair suddenly began to deviate and flew past her. At the same time, several kunai shot at her under her control turned around and shot at their original owners. Chiyo passed through several Woodleaf Village ninjas, accompanied by the screams of several Woodleaf Village ninjas before they were killed. When several kunai were shot at Woodleaf Village ninjas again under the control of Chiyo, Hyuga Sky, who saw the scene, appeared, and then rubbed his fist and shot out all the kunai. Immediately afterward, his fist directly touched Chiyo's chest. Chiyo used substitution jutsu just before she was hit, dodging the attack of Ruan's fist. Chiyo stared at Hyuga Sky motionlessly, and a scroll appeared in her hand. As the other party said, the two of them have known each other for a long time. They know each other's strength. It seems that I have to go all out. Chiyo thought of this and opened the scroll in her hand. With a bang, 10 puppets in white clothes appeared in front of Chiyo. White secret technique, Shinmatsu 10 men join. Chapter 144. Hyugataka was silent. Of course, he was very familiar with the 10 puppets. This was Chiyo's most powerful trump card. As the masterpiece of the first puppet master Zuman, this was the strongest 10 puppets in the world. Coupled with Chiyo's pinnacle level of manipulation skills, a single finger of a puppet to attack or defend, it was known as 1,000 puppets. Once surrounded by puppets, even he would fall into a difficult battle. Knowing this, Hyugataka raised his hand and took the lead to launch an attack on Chiyo. 8 trigrams emptiness palm. A shock wave compressed by high strength and high density chakra hit Chiyo. Chiyo's finger hooked, and a ninja's body was pulled over by her. Then the body was hit by the 8 puppets and was instantly torn apart. Her fingers continued to shake like playing a musical instrument, and the 10 white puppets rose into the air as if they were given life. And then several of them rushed directly toward Hyugataka. This speed was far beyond other puppets, and in just a breath, they circled behind Hyugataka. Among the puppets that came behind him, one of them had an extra chain in its hand, and then the other puppet directly turned into an 8-edged chakra blade. Hyuga clan leader glanced at the puppet and jumped directly into the air when it was waving. Then at this time, another puppet beside Chiyo had already rushed out, and countless steel cables suddenly extended from all parts of the puppet's body and shot toward Hyugataka, almost sealing his whereabouts in mid-air. 8 trigrams emptiness palm. In mid-air, he directly pushed out his palm, and the chakra air blast instantly broke the steel cables that were strangling him. At the same time, his figure fell. However, before he completely landed, the previous puppet combination had turned around, and the 8-edged chakra blade rotated so high that it seemed to even cut the air. Clang! Hyugataka took out his kunai and blocked the attack, but the kunai was directly interrupted. At the same time, he was also directly shocked out. There was a faint pain in his chest. At this moment, another puppet appeared in front of him. This puppet brandished 2 broad sabers and slashed at him. 8 trigram steel breaking palm. Chakra wrapped his arm and struck out, engaging the puppet in battle. Although the other party was a puppet, its agility wasn't bad at all. Chiyo's fingers shook, and the puppet that was fighting with her was also recalled. Hyugataka chased after Chiyo, but the 4-edged chakra blade attacked from behind. Because he was in the air just now, he couldn't dodge at all. But now the Byakugan's 360-degree vision allowed him to detect it in advance, so he could still dodge it with the blink technique. His figure disappeared and reappeared at the side. However, the moment he landed on the ground, a puppet arm that was several meters long shot towards him. Just as Hyugataka was about to raise his hand to resist, spikes grew out of the joints of his arm, and the spikes grew wildly as if to trap him in it. 8 trigrams palm revolving heaven. Chakra gushed out of his meridians, and the huge hemispherical chakra blocked the spikes. After the spikes were all cut off, Hyugataka suddenly retreated a few meters. Your ability to control the puppets has improved again, Hyugataka sighed. Each of these puppets has different abilities, but there is a connection between them, and it is extremely difficult to deal with 2 or 3 rounds. Under their tide-like offensive, any strong person would be exposed, and then completely fall into a passive position. Of course. I said earlier that I would dig out your Byakugan and put it on my puppet. Chiyo snorted coldly. She didn't expect that Hyugataka, who was already in his 40s, was still so strong. Generally speaking, ninjas of this age are beginning to decline in strength. Hyuga clan leader just chuckled at Chiyo's words. Maybe in a few years, he really won't be Chiyo's opponent. After all, puppet masters are different from ordinary ninjas. Their strength is reflected in their puppet and manipulation ability. Chiyo's fingers shook, and the 10 people who were originally scattered surrounded her again. Next, I will show you a treasure. This trick is specially prepared for Woodleaf. Hearing this, Hyugataka was stunned. He saw Chiyo's fingers tremble, and 3 puppets of the 10 people protruded. And then their mouths were wide open, but no mechanism appeared. There seemed to be 3 switches in the mouths of the 3 puppets, and the words Buddha, Dharma, and monk were written on them. A strong sense of crisis arose spontaneously. This was the feeling that was cultivated by countless battles. Hyugataka looked at the puppet, and in the vision of the Byakugan, the puppet's abdomen contained a powerful chakra, and it was about to eject out. This is Ninja Triple Treasure Absorption. Immediately, the 2 puppets stood side by side, and at the same time, the 3rd puppet stepped on the shoulders of the 2 puppets, and the 3 puppets opened their mouths at the same time. Suddenly, a violent wind burst out, and in an instant, it turned into 3 huge storms. The storm stirred the falling rain, and whistled toward Hyugataka from the left, the center, and the right directions. Puppets can actually use ninjutsu of this level? Hyugataka was shocked to see this scene. As far as he knew, Chiyo, as a puppeteer, was very good at physical attacks. Because of this, there were countless mechanisms on the puppets, and most of the physical tools used by the puppets were coated with poison. But he had never heard or seen before that Chiyo's puppets could use such a large-scale wind-release ninjutsu. It seems that this ninjutsu was developed by Chiyo. She is worthy of being the #1 puppeteer in the ninja world. Hyugataka didn't hesitate to turn around and run. This kind of indiscriminate wind release is already S-class, and it's not something he can resist. No wonder Sakura Shinobu rarely appeared near them. Hyugataka was a little confused before. It turned out that Chiyo was planning to kill Woodleaf, Rock, and Land of Rain together. What a ruthless woman. Thinking of this, Hyugataka couldn't help but speed up his pace. But the whistling sound came from behind him. He could hear that the wind couldn't wait to crush him into pieces. Hyugataka's speed was getting faster and faster, but the wind release was like a death god, chasing him step by step. In just an instant, the wind roared and drowned Hyugataka. The strong storm directly uprooted the trees and vegetation within a radius of more than 10 meters, and then turned into debris in the puppet formation. Boom! However, it wasn't over yet. After a moment, the 3 wind releases were attracted to each other, and finally merged into a larger wind release. This wind escape formed a whirlpool that sucked in everything around it. That powerful suction force even sucked in the thick layer of soil. Hyugataka, who was in the middle of the wind release, couldn't even stand stably. He inserted his kunai into the ground and forcibly stabilized his body. In an instant, chakra gushed out from his acupuncture points, and the revolving heavens spread out from his body to resist the wind release. However, when the chakra gushed out and touched the wind, it was cut by countless wind blades and then annihilated. Wind release is the sharpest of the 5 chakra properties, and it can directly cut chakra. What a terrifying wind release. Akira Uchiha, who was fighting with the rock, couldn't help but be speechless. She's worthy of being a person who has experienced 3 world wars. Akira Uchiha always thought that Chiyo wasn't that strong, but now he knew that he was wrong. No wonder Chiyo can capture a city with only 10 puppets. This kind of strength is not something ordinary ninjas can resist. More importantly, if even Chiyo had this kind of strength, then what kind of combat power would the Kage of the other villages have? At this time, in the storm, the chakra that Hyugataka used to resist the wind began to weaken, and his whole body was shaking violently. He was in the position where the wind pressure was the strongest, and the sharp wind blades could directly tear steel in half. It's impossible to escape the wind pressure and rush out. The only way is to temporarily stop the wind pressure, or completely destroy it. Hyugataka looked up, and the scene in front of him was shocking. Hundreds of ninjas were struggling in the wind and rain. Rocks and debris were floating in the storm. The formation of puppets was like the cold grip of the Grim Reaper. Death breeds fear, and fear breeds madness. At this time, Hyugataka knew that he must do something, otherwise, the whole battlefield will collapse immediately. At this moment, an incomparably blazing light appeared on his body. Chakra was instantly released from his acupuncture points. Wrapped in chakra, he soared into the sky, and finally, he cut the wind and condensed a giant ball of more than 10 meters. Boom! Under the influence of the strong wind, the chakra ball rotated quickly in the wind, and then the chakra expanded like a beam of light. Revolving heaven? Chiyo looked at this scene, and was a little surprised. However, the aura on Hyugataka's body was getting more and more terrifying. This is not the power of revolving heaven. The ninjas on the periphery of the wind also felt a strong sense of danger, and all the ninjas used the body flicker technique to escape as much as possible. Boom! Finally, the rotation in the storm reached its peak. In an instant, Hyugataka turned around, stretched his arms, bent his fingers and clasped his shoulders, then stood up straight, and a shout suddenly burst out from his throat. Soft fist technique, false god air strike. In just an instant, there was a dry sound in the air, as if there were hundreds of fists waving forward at the same time. Because of the friction, the air was dyed red, and it raged out between the mountains. The wind and whirlpools that originally covered the ground were all destroyed. In this area, there was a brief pause in the rain and it didn't fall. What a terrible destructive power! The ninjas who withdrew from the battle circle had lingering fear. If they were concentrated on that destructive power just now, they would probably die on the spot. The originally fierce battle was temporarily stopped. The ninjas on both sides looked at the desolated land, and the leaders of both sides were among them. When the clouds that blocked the line of sight dissipated, the figures of Hyugataka and Chiyo were also revealed. At this time, Chiyo was surrounded by the 10 ninjas, which seemed to have turned into a barrier, protecting her in the center. But at this time, the barrier had become fragmented, and the 10 ninjas, who had experienced countless battles and were intact, were also damaged to a large extent. It seems that they have temporarily lost their combat power. Chiyo's eyes were full of shock at this time, looking at Hyugataka in front of her. Hyugataka was also in a bad state. His clothes were ragged, his hands had turned red, and there were subtle cracks spreading on his body. 2 streams of blood directly flowed out from his eyes. As one of the oldest clans in the world, today they finally revealed their heritage. The Hyuga clan was able to survive for thousands of years. Naturally, they have their own trump cards. They are different from the Uchiha clan's Manjikyu Sharingan, and the Senju clan's Mokuton. The Hyuga clan has inherited some ultimate forbidden techniques. Legend has it that these forbidden techniques were passed down by the ancestors of chakra, and they can only be used through the Byakugan. Because of these forbidden techniques, the Hyuga clan was more prosperous than the Uchiha and Senju clan at their most glorious time. It's a pity that these forbidden techniques were later lost for various reasons. Only this incomplete taijutsu is left. Although the power of this taijutsu is great, the price is also high. After this time, it's still unknown whether Hyugataka's Byakugan can be used again. But this time he won after all. At this time, in a corner under the battlefield, a black figure was watching such a battle. This is Mother's 80 Gods air attack? Although it was too weak in power, he still recognized this taijutsu. Damn it, using Mother's taijutsu, Hyuga deserves to die. The descendants of Hagoromo and Hamura deserve to die. The black figure cursed for a while, and finally he was a little tired and went back to the ground. Chapter 145. On the battlefield, because of the battle between Hyuga Akashi and Chiyo, the space left by the battle was instantly filled with ninjas. The use of S-class ninjutsu also made the atmosphere on the battlefield more intense. Thousands of ninjas began to fight more fiercely, and at their feet, maybe their companions who just lost their lives. However, at this moment, no one had time to feel sad. Their only thought was to kill the enemy in front of them. Akira Uchiha was doing the same thing. He was like a drop of water in the sea, insignificant. But no one dared to underestimate this 10-year-old Uchiha boy. Whether it was the ninjas of Woodleaf or the enemy ninjas, they were all the same. At this moment, he was like a god of death, taking away the enemy's life with his extremely troublesome genjutsu and teleportation. He didn't look like a chunin at all. In fact, he was much stronger than many jonin. Many ninjas were hit by genjutsu in a flash, and lost their lives forever. Bloody eyes, powerful lightning release, and a trench coat soaked in the enemy's blood. When these were combined together, it gave people an unparalleled sense of beauty. The art of killing. Even Akira Uchiha didn't know that many ninjas of Woodleaf have become his fans. This has nothing to do with age, it's only related to strength. Chun. On the edge of the battlefield, Watergate, who was killing several ninjas, also vaguely caught the figure of Akira Uchiha. After seeing his good friend's powerful strength, he was also very shocked. Minato has fought with Uchiha-chan the most, but he never knew how strong Uchiha-chan really is. Today he finally realized it. At this time, Watergate, in addition to sighing in his heart, wanted to catch up. He silently told himself that one day, he will have enough strength to fight side by side with him. Not far from Akira Uchiha, Rope Tree was also entangled with a rock chunin with his water release, and he had the upper hand. Mikoto has been behind Akira Uchiha, helping him resist the interference of other ninjas. With her Sharingan, she can see most of the movements of Chunin and Genin. Uchiha kid, don't be too arrogant. Seeing Mikoto so powerful, several ninjas directly surrounded her. For a time Mikoto, who was originally at ease, was immediately suppressed. Even so, she continued to persist. Shantomo's Sharingan spun faster and faster. Using her Sharingan, Mikoto was finally able to clearly see her opponent's attack. In an instant, he took advantage of his short stature to dodge the attack. Then she stabbed a ninja's abdomen. However, when her kunai was less than 2 inches away from the ninja's abdomen, the ninja reacted. He immediately rotated his katana and slashed horizontally. With her Sharingan, Mikoto was able to see this move ahead of time. She quickly dodged and avoided this attack. At this time, another ninja's fist directly hit Mikoto. At this critical moment, Mikoto didn't dodge the attack that was about to fall. She and the enemy ninja looked at each other, and in an instant, the movement of the ninja's hand stopped. Then, she directly shot a kunai at the enemy's chest. Everyone was doing their best to fight. As for Akira Uchiha at this moment, seeing that Mikoto defeated the opponent, he also focused on the enemy in front of him. He knew very well that in the battle, not being disturbed by the outside world is also the key to the victory. In addition, because of his previous breakthrough and the continuous killing of Jonin on the battlefield, his physical strength and chakra have been consumed a lot. And for his genjutsu, the ninjas near the battlefield were also on guard. They didn't want to be easily killed by Akira Uchiha because of his genjutsu. Earth Release, Rock Fist Technique. The broken rocks under Akira Uchiha's feet floated in the air and condensed in front of his opponent. In an instant, it condensed into a giant rock fist and then directly smashed towards him. Seeing this, Akira Uchiha didn't dodge and directly punched out, and the giant rock was instantly broken into pieces. Whoosh! Sakura Shinobu rushed over, and the shining katana slashed down, wanting to cut Akira Uchiha under the katana. Earth Release, Earth Flow Wall. Just as he was about to approach Akira Uchiha, the Earth Release seal had already been set up, and an earth wall that could only cover Akira Uchiha's body stood up. However, such an earth wall couldn't stop a Jonin for too long. After Akira Uchiha formed the seal, the lightning release reached the level of Chidori in an instant. Then Akira Uchiha didn't hesitate. He raised his right hand and smashed the earth flow wall. Chidori. The earth flow wall that Akira Uchiha deliberately erected was instantly penetrated by Chidori. Akira Uchiha stepped on the ground with his right leg and fiercely smashed into the enemy's Jonin's abdomen. At the moment of being hit, Sakura Shinobu was stunned, because in all the battles he had experienced, he had never seen the caster actively destroy his own defensive ninjutsu. The enemy's Jonin directly spat out a mouthful of blood, and then seemed to have lost his strength, and the katana in his hand fell to the ground. His abdomen had been directly penetrated by the lightning release. Die. Akira Uchiha took out a kunai and shot it at Sakura Shinobu's head. However, at this moment, a bunch of sand rose from the ground and bounced the kunai away, and the sand quickly spread, forming a sand wall in front of Sakura Shinobu. Then, a larger sand flow rushed toward Akira Uchiha. Akira Uchiha jumped up and dodged the impact of the sand wave. Shadow Snake Hand. At the moment when Akira Uchiha jumped high, 4 gray snakes flew out of his hand like ropes and shot toward Mikoto and other wood-leaf ninjas. The 4 gray snakes wrapped around their waists, and Akira Uchiha pulled them out of the sand encirclement. Get out of here. After Akira Uchiha pulled Mikoto and others out, he quickly let them leave. This kind of large-scale ninjutsu can easily affect them. Don't leave since you're here. A person shouted, stretched out his hand, and a bunch of sand like a rope shot toward Akira Uchiha's leg. Akira Uchiha was instantly wrapped in sand. Desert funeral. The man shouted, and the sand wrapped around Akira Uchiha suddenly shrank. Chapter 146. As the man shouted, the sand wrapped around Akira Uchiha suddenly shrank. Only some wood chips fell in the middle of the sand. Substitution jutsu? The man whispered. Akira Uchiha flashed and appeared beside Mikoto and Rope Tree. He looked up and saw that the ninja in front of him looked about the same age as him. He had brown hair and panda eyes at the corner of his eyes. Akira Uchiha recognized the other person's identity at first glance, Raza. After all, except for the color of his hair, his appearance was almost the same as Gaara's. Akira Uchiha immediately became vigilant. Although the other party was young, he wouldn't underestimate him because of this. After all, Raza is the future 4th generation of the Kazekage, and there is no doubt that he is also a genius. Since he is a genius, of course, he can't be judged by common sense. What's more, Raza also has a Kekei Genkai, magnet release. He can freely control things that contain iron, and he can also control the gold in the sand. All of these abilities allowed Raza to possess strength that far surpassed that of others. From this point of view, Raza is really a veritable tall, rich and handsome man. Not only does he have a Kekei Genkai, but he will also grow into a 4th generation of the Kazekage in the future. The most important thing is that magnet release allows him to easily find Jinsha. In the whole ninja world, the only one who can surpass him in terms of money is probably Konan, the rich woman. Of course, it's also possible that Konan used the reward money earned by Kakuzu to buy explosive charms for herself. So then again, Minato and Raza were both 4th generations, but the difference in their starting points was not just a little bit. It's a pity that Raza has such a perfect background, but his brain isn't very good. Watergate's son is the protagonist, so he didn't hesitate to seal Kyuubi in Naruto's body. Watergate doesn't have to worry about going berserk, because Naruto can definitely control Kyuubi. But Raza is also confident and sealed a chibi in his son's body. Then Raza also let Yakushimaru assassinate Gaara in order to test him. Raza was really out of his mind. Does he think that just because Gaara has red hair, he has the bloodline of the Uzumaki clan, and can suppress the tailed beasts? Therefore, although Raza was a genius, his brain was not very good. Otherwise, as a village's Kage, how could he have been killed by Orochimaru? Thinking of this, Akira Uchiha suddenly had a bold idea. Should he take advantage of this opportunity to get rid of Raza, this scourge? Just like that, 1 corpse and 4 lives were lost. Not only was Gaara gone, but even Shurjo's daughter-in-law, Temari, was gone. Thinking of this, Akira Uchiha's heart was a little excited. Looking at the little brat in front of him, whose eyes were wandering, Raza felt very angry. He realized that he had been ignored by the other party. As a genius in the village, he had never been ignored by others. Raza snorted coldly. He stretched out his hand, took out a scroll from behind, opened the scroll, and saw the word Sha written on it. Raza's hands quickly formed a seal, and a large amount of sand spewed out from the scroll, forming a sand wave that rushed towards Akira Uchiha. Akira Uchiha slightly tilted his body and dodged the sand attack. Then he quickly formed a seal, opened his mouth, and spat out a water column, wetting the sand, making the sand controlled by Raza deform and fall. The environment here is overwhelmingly unfavorable to you. This is the land of rain, and the rain will slow down your sand control. Akira Uchiha said, and rushed to the front of Raza in a flash, and stabbed Raza with his kunai. A layer of sand rose in front of Raza, blocking Akira Uchiha's attack. So what? Defeating the opponent in an unfavorable environment can show my strength. Obviously, Raza also knew this, but he didn't admit defeat, and started to argue with Akira Uchiha. He stretched out his hand, and the sand in the sand wall blocking Akira Uchiha instantly condensed into an arm and grabbed at Akira Uchiha. Akira Uchiha's kunai flashed with lightning, and cut off the arm. However, the severed arm regrouped and once again reached out to grab Uchiha. Water release. Turbulent water wave. Akira quickly retreated, facing the sand hand. He spat out a few more streams of water from his mouth towards the hand that was trying to grab him. The sand once again merged with the water, washing away the sand arm. You've been fighting for so long. With your chakra, how many times can you use water release? Raza waved his hand, and a bunch of sand wrapped around Akira Uchiha's ankle from under his feet like a snake. In order to avoid the sand's entanglement, Akira Uchiha jumped up and ran into the air. But Raza's attack didn't stop there. Under Akira Uchiha's feet, the sand once again grabbed at him as if it had a life of its own. In midair, Akira Uchiha twisted his body, dodging the sand's binding again, and at the same time, directly launched the illusion. Then, a kunai appeared in Akira Uchiha's hand, and shot at Raza like a cannonball. Raza, who was under the illusion, didn't move, but the sand blocked in front of the kunai as if it had a life of its own. But how could the sand block the kunai at this speed? The kunai directly penetrated the sand wall, but just as it was about to hit Raza, it suddenly bounced and deviated from its trajectory in midair. This kind of metal control magnetic release is really tricky. In this way, Akira Uchiha's shuriken and violent kunai throw were useless. Raza, who woke up from the illusion, squinted his panda eyes. Then he took out a scroll again, and the word gold was written on it. In just a moment, golden sand constantly poured out of the scroll, and mixed with the sand. Facing this kind of unfavorable environment, Raza was not unprepared. The sand mixed with golden sand can resist the erosion of rain and water release very well. Sure enough, the speed of the sand grabbing at Akira Uchiha suddenly increased by half. Akira Uchiha's speed also increased because of this. Seeing this scene, Raza's hand shook, and a lot of sand spewed out of the scroll. The sand flew from the ground like tentacles. Then it formed an overwhelming momentum, surrounding Akira Uchiha in the air. Akira Uchiha couldn't dodge, and his ankle was directly hooked by the sand. At the same time, several other sand quickly followed, wrapping Akira Uchiha in layers. This time, you can't use substitution technique. Raza sneered and his palm slapped in midair. Chapter 147. Raza noticed Akira Uchiha a long time ago. The other party's strength far beyond his peers attracted Raza's interest. So he used his ability to peep at Akira Uchiha for a long time. After he learned all kinds of information about the other party in detail, he hurriedly jumped out and wanted to kill this opponent with his own hands. Looking at Akira Uchiha, who had been bound by the sand, Raza smiled proudly. Then he grabbed the air with his right hand and said, "Sand coffin." The sand began to shrink in an instant, but Akira Uchiha, who was wrapped in the sand, suddenly burst out with lightning. Chidori. Boom! Chidori opened a gap in the middle of the sandball, and Akira Uchiha rushed out from the middle. Chidori's penetrating power can easily break through the sand's restraint. Akira Uchiha, who escaped, slid more than 10 meters on the ground. It's really surprising. I rarely see people who can break free from the sand when they are caught by it. Raza praised, but he was a little vigilant in his heart. The amount of chakra of the other party has obviously exceeded his expectations. This was something he didn't expect before. For Raza, continuously manipulating large-scale sand like this is not a small burden. It seems that he has to find a way to lure the other party close. Raza, who made up his mind, waved the sand again, but this time the size and speed of the sand were not as powerful as before. This situation undoubtedly made it easier for Akira Uchiha to dodge. Seeing the flaw exposed by Raza, he decisively passed through the sand and quickly approached the other party. At the same time, Sharingan aimed at Raza, and in an instant, Genjutsu was thrown out, and Raza's body stopped. Now for Akira Uchiha, the most convenient ninjutsu that can easily penetrate the other party's sand defense is Chidori. Without any hesitation, Chidori appeared in Akira Uchiha's hand, and his speed soared again. After piercing through the sand wall, Akira Uchiha's speed didn't decrease, and instantly appeared in front of Raza. He waved his right hand with lightning release and inserted it into Raza's chest. But the sand on the ground suddenly began to sink as if it was alive. Akira Uchiha didn't stand still for a while, and his whole body staggered. After Akira Uchiha stabilized his body, Raza in front of him raised the corner of his mouth, and two bundles of sand quickly wrapped around Akira Uchiha's hands and covered them. Then the sand like a living viper shrouded Akira Uchiha again. Let's see how you're going to form the seal this time. Raza clenched his fists tightly. Desert funeral. Rope Tree in the battle saw the situation on Akira Uchiha's side, and couldn't help but shout, and at the same time, a huge water dragon was spat out, forcing the ninja around him to help Akira Uchiha. However, the ninja of Sakura Shinobu Village was also not weak. He quickly flashed back, avoided the huge water dragon, and quickly followed the footsteps of Rope Tree, and tried to restrain the Rope Tree's advance. The Sharingan in Mikoto's eyes spun madly. In an instant, her speed doubled from before. In Mikoto's vision, the enemy who was evenly matched with her just now seemed to have slowed down a lot. In just a moment, her kunai slid past the neck of the sand ninja blocking in front of her, and appeared behind the other side. But she was still some distance away from Akira Uchiha. At this time, the surrounding sand began to shake violently. However, the expected condensation of sand didn't happen. Instead, a blue light overflowed from the inside of the sand, followed by a crackling sound. Chidori Ryu. Akira Uchiha's whole body was covered with blue chakra current. The original sand was all bounced away in an instant. With him as the center, all the sand within a radius of 1 meter was expelled, and the flashing current cut off all attacks. You focus on your enemies, I'm fine. Akira Uchiha shouted to Mikoto and Rope Tree. All the enemies on the battlefield were not simple. Even the slightest distraction could lead to serious injuries or even death. Okay, be careful. Rope Tree was originally rushing over, but when he saw that Akira Uchiha was fine, he suddenly turned over and slashed the rock ninja who was chasing after him. Mikoto also breathed a sigh of relief and rejoined the battlefield. It's just that her position seemed to be shifting towards Uchiha. Looking at Mikoto's small movements, Akira Uchiha just smiled. What are you laughing at? Raza narrowed his eyes. Just now, I was so close to taking your life. Yes, it's a pity. I admit that I was a little careless. In fact, you didn't fall for my genjutsu. Akira Uchiha crossed his chest and chatted with Raza while recovering his chakra. Akira Uchiha was a little surprised before, why the speed and power of Raza's sand was so much weaker than before. He thought that Raza's chakra was not enough. It turned out that Raza deliberately exposed a flaw to lure Akira Uchiha to get close. Because of magnet release and sand armor, if Akira Uchiha wants to defeat Raza, he must get close. And Akira Uchiha's usual tactic is to use genjutsu to directly control the opponent at the moment of close. Raza also knew this, so he pretended to fall for genjutsu and lured Akira Uchiha to get close. Then the moment Akira Uchiha got close, he directly used Desert Funeral. It has to be said that this plan is really good. Raza really knows Akira Uchiha's fighting style very well. Information can indeed play a decisive role in some situations. Raza showed a regretful expression. Yes, I really didn't fall for genjutsu. His eyes suddenly shattered and turned into a thin layer of sand. Then, the sand blocked his view again. With magnet release, I can use the sand to perceive your movements. In other words, the sand is my eyes, and your Sharingan is ineffective against me. This is really interesting information. Akira Uchiha showed a meaningful smile. Yes, without Genjutsu, your strength will be greatly reduced. Today all of you will die here. Raza shouted ferociously. Behind him, a sea of sand suddenly flew high and rolled towards Akira Uchiha. Chidori appeared in Akira Uchiha's hand again. His body jumped high and directly broke through the sand that covered him. As if turning into a stream of light, directly rushed towards Raza. It's useless. Raza shook his head. Sure enough, when Akira Uchiha appeared next to Raza, his feet had sunk into the sand and could no longer move forward. Then Raza waved his hand, and a spear made of golden sand appeared in his hand. Akira Uchiha just smiled, then raised his head and looked at the sky at a 45-degree angle. He saw a pair of eyes floating high in the sky, staring at Uchiha. Genjutsu Dream Lock. What? Raza was stunned for a moment, and the spear in his hand also fell to the ground. Chidori, who had dissipated, appeared in Akira Uchiha's hand again, and the dazzling lightning quickly stabbed towards Raza's chest. Chapter 148. Boom. As if there was an earthquake, the battlefield suddenly began to shake. Akira Uchiha, who lost his balance, and Chidori, who was originally attacking Raza's heart, also deviated and hit the opponent's arm. Then wave after wave of shaking continued to come, as if the end of the world was coming. When Akira Uchiha looked at Raza in front of him again, Raza had already broken free from the illusion because of the pain, and moved away from Akira Uchiha. Raza looked a bit miserable at this time. His left hand held the right arm that was cut off by Chidori, and at the same time showed a painful expression. The sand also reformed into armor, trying to temporarily stop the blood. You know about my Eye of the Sand? Raza looked gloomy, and his anger almost reached the critical point. Only a few people knew about his Eye of the Sand. That's why Raza deceived Akira Uchiha, saying that he could use the sand to perceive the opponent's movements. In fact, this was just because the Eye of the Sand was in the sky. But he didn't expect that Akira Uchiha saw through his words and directly used this to release an illusion in the sky. The Eye of the Sand was connected to Raza's vision, so he was also affected by the illusion, resulting in the loss of his right hand. That's why ninjas are deceiving. Never believe the enemy's words is the first priority as a ninja. Raza covered his arm and coughed up a lot of blood. His face was a bit ugly. Very few people knew about the Eye of the Sand. Was there would leaf spy around him? Otherwise, why was the other party's information so detailed? But the only people who knew this information, except for the 3 generations of Kazekage, were high-level people like Chio. Could they be would leaf spies? Raza was surprised by his own thoughts. If Akira Uchiha knew about Raza's imagination, he would smile, then pat him on the shoulder, and say, "Young man, don't be so naive. This is what a guy called AB told me." But now Akira Uchiha didn't think about this, he just wanted to get rid of Raza. However, the ground began to shake again. Was there no end to this? With the successive earthquakes, Akira Uchiha couldn't help but wonder if Raza was in existence similar to Grand Magus Lu Xiao. At this moment, an empty shell flew towards Akira Uchiha from afar. Akira Uchiha dodged to the side. However, this was not the end. In just an instant, countless air bullets smashed down from the sky like meteors. Akira Uchiha could only curse inwardly. Grand Magus Raksha's magic power is boundless. The injured Raza no longer had the strength to fight. Staying here would only result in death. While Akira Uchiha was distracted by the wind escape air bullet, he used the sand body blink to distance himself from Akira Uchiha. "I'll be back." After leaving behind his arrogant speech, Raza left the battlefield in a miserable state. Without a doubt, only Sand Shikaku could create such a large number of air bullets. After Akira Uchiha dodged the wind escape air bullet, he looked into the distance. Sure enough, in the middle of the gray battlefield, There was indeed Shikaku's arrogant figure. Chun, what's going on? Mikoto and Rope Tree also gathered around Akira Uchiha. We're in trouble. Trouble? Could it be? Rope Tree looked over with some surprise. Yes, Sakura Shinobu's ninjas use their bijou. But in this kind of battlefield, bijou can't differentiate between friend and foe. Rope Tree frowned. Yes. But you didn't notice that almost all the ninjas blocking us outside the battlefield were Sakura Shinobu. And on the battlefield, Sakura Shinobu rarely encountered them? Akira Uchiha continued. I had some doubts before. Now I understand that Sakura Shinobu wanted to make the Ichibi go berserk. Bijou attacks indiscriminately. They want to kill Woodleaf, Rock Village, and Land of Rain's ninjas together. Sakura Shinobu's ninjas have begun to go crazy in order to win the war. But as far as war is concerned, the only thing that matters is the final result of victory. At the critical moment, not to mention allies, even ninjas in their own village can be sacrificed. So if they can't stop the Ichibi, Sand Village will be the biggest winner in this war. Ahaha, I finally came out again. These Sand Village's little bastards. The Sand Shikaku that was summoned because of the feint technique was also very excited at this time. Since he was sealed, he hasn't been able to move freely for a long time. The golden sand, the hot sun, the free air, and those sexy tanuki cats made him miss them deeply. Huh? Where did this swamp come from? Shikaku was confused when he suddenly fell into the swamp. He who had just made a large number of air bombs was sinking into the yellow swamp. This kind of ninjutsu that can change the terrain on a large scale was, of course, released by Woodleaf's ninjas. The main purpose was to limit Shikaku's range of movement. But it was obviously wishful thinking. When Shikaku found that his body was swallowed by the yellow swamp and gradually sank, he gently patted his stomach. A huge amount of yellow sand like a long river was spat out from his mouth. And then the yellow swamp, which was known as the path to hell, was submerged by the sea of sand. Shikaku smiled proudly, then he went into the sea of sand he created, and began to play excitedly. So many little bugs. Shikaku didn't know if he was short-sighted, but he found that there were a lot of ninjas around him. Then he clawed down, and instantly a vacuum of dozens of meters appeared. Heh. Even if you shout until your throat is broken, no raccoon will come to save you. Shikaku laughed sinisterly. Because of the Yanbi, Akira Uchiha didn't have a good impression of the bijou. Now Shikaku deepened this impression. Akira Uchiha now just grabbed Hagoromo's clothes and asked, "Can't you control your pet?" Chapter 149. Shikaku used its huge body and huge tail to sweep around in the rain. The sand-like body, the strange patterns on the body, the appearance of a large tanuki cat, and the iconic huge chakra like a vast ocean. All of these things put a lot of pressure on the ninjas present. What should we do now, Shin? Rope Tree asked anxiously. The current situation was very unfavorable for Woodleaf. The strong ninjas of Woodleaf were all restrained by the ninjas of the same level. Even Orochimaru went out to block Hanzo. In this case, who could spare the time to deal with Shikaku? Sakura Shinobu was also aware of this, so he seized the opportunity to release the bijou. The power of a bijou is not something that ordinary ninjas can resist. Even if the opponent is just a bijou, it is not something that the current Akira Uchiha can deal with. To put it bluntly, Akira Uchiha's strength is not enough, his ability is too poor, and he doesn't have the Mangekyo Sharingan. Unless he wants his funeral to be covered with Woodleaf's village flag, and enjoy the highest martyr's treatment, he will not recklessly fight with Shikaku. But although Akira Uchiha can't go, he can't just let Shikaku attack Woodleaf's ninjas. Staring at Shikaku playing in the sea of sand, Akira Uchiha's expression was somewhat dignified. Just as he was racking his brain to think of a way to deal with the bijou, Shikaku, who was playing happily, continued to move. It seems to have thought of a new way to play. Under the control of the bijou chakra, a large number of sand Shikaku in various poses appeared in the sea of sand. Shikaku suddenly puckered his mouth and laughed, but that smile was somewhat wretched. Sure enough, sand Shikaku in various poses continued to condense in the sea of sand. Shikaku violently beat a big fox. Eehee. Shikaku could no longer restrain its smile. Then it swept its tail, and in the next second, the sand Shikaku flew to the battlefield. At this time, Akira Uchiha quickly found the location of Sarutobi Shinosuke. Of course, this is not to say that he and Shinosuke, this greasy uncle, love each other, but he is too conspicuous. He is rushing to the bijou alone. Earth release Super Earth Wall. Shinosuke quickly printed the hand seals, along with the ground quickly shaking. An earth release that is beyond the level of ordinary ninjas, especially conspicuous in the rain. The earth wall firmly surrounded Shikaku. Uchiha-chan didn't even get the chance to say the word cool when the sand eagle thrown by Shikaku collided with the earth release. After a loud sound, the wall was penetrated. Standing on the wall, Shinsuke, who was originally proud of himself, also staggered and fell down. Fortunately, the earth release also slowed down the speed of the sand eagle, allowing the ninjas to escape safely. Can't go on like this, Akira Uchiha gently exhaled. At this time, there is not much chakra left in his body, only enough for one Chidori. There is still 1/3 of chakra left in the scroll, although not much, it is enough. You stay here. Akira Uchiha, who left this sentence, gently jumped forward, and when his speed was full, his body was shining with bright lightning. Then he began to rush in the direction of Shinosuke without any scruples. Akira Uchiha, who is going all out, doesn't know how fast he is now, but looking from the air, you can see a group of lightning is quickly piercing the entire battlefield. At this time, many ninjas like Akira Uchiha are moving in the direction of Shikaku. They didn't see the bijou and turned to escape. Although the bijou is terrible, these ninjas who have been fighting in the front line for a long time, there is no difference between being killed by a bijou and being killed by a small shuriken. Perhaps, it is this kind of cohesion that allowed Woodleaf to win several times in the world of shinobi. But the philosophical question of who is the hero or the people who create history, let's leave it to the philosophers. Akira Uchiha, who rushed over, was standing on a wall, gasping for breath. Brother Shinosuke, you look a bit miserable. Shinosuke's head and body are covered with dust, and the injury on his back is beginning to crack. Of course, Akira Uchiha's appearance is not much better. While talking, he reached out and pulled out the iron products on his body one by one. Akira Uchiha's reckless attack naturally attracted a lot of long-range attacks. Although he dodged some of them, many of them hit him. His black hair has been stained with blood, and even the sleeves of his trench coat have been broken at this time. Blood is flowing out of his wound. However, although he looks miserable, in fact, it is not a big problem. After resting for a while, Akira Uchiha took off Chunin's vest and threw it away. Chunin's vest has become very wet, with his own blood and the blood of the enemy. After seeing Akira Uchiha, the expression on Shinosuke's face became very difficult to describe. In short, it is not good. Chun, you shouldn't be here. Although the opponent is Uchiha clan, both of them are second-generation disciples. In addition, Akira Uchiha saved his life and fought side by side with him. In any case, Shinosuke doesn't want to see Akira Uchiha have an accident. So you are not far away from the battlefield but close to Shikaku. Aren't you looking for death? Maybe, but I am already here. Akira Uchiha said. The smile on his face did not reduce. It seems his mood is good? However, after the lightning flashed on his body, it was completely extinguished. His chakra is not enough to maintain the lightning on his body. This means that the chakra in his seal scroll is about to run out. Generally speaking, when a ninja's chakra is exhausted, it means that he has entered the most dangerous time. But the human body is also a very wonderful thing. As long as you squeeze yourself to the limit, just like milk, you will always have some. But what can you do even if you squeeze it out? Even if Akira Uchiha is at his peak, he may not be Shikaku's opponent. Now the tailed beast is not far away. Shinosuke's face is also covered in dust. He can be considered a waste. But in this desperate situation, he can still smile. Normal people can only think that Akira Uchiha is crazy. Chun, in your state, it is better to stay by my side. Shinosuke hesitated. At this time, instead of letting the crazy Akira Uchiha run around, it is safer for him to stay by his side. If he leaves, The survival rate on this battlefield will be close to zero. Akira Uchiha shook his head. Ichibi Manchuruki has been sucked into Shikaka's body. Now as long as we break Shikaka's body, we can end the tailed beast's rampage. There is nothing wrong with what you said, but who can break Shikaka's body? Shinosuke shook his head. Of course there is a way. Since the lightning can restrain the earth, then the lightning can also restrain Shikaka's sand to a certain extent. If we can use the lightning to penetrate Shikaka's body, we can easily penetrate it, right? Shinosuke was surprised by Akira Uchiha's words. He carefully thought about it and seriously analyzed. But Shikaka's body is too big, drilling a hole won't play a decisive role, and it is more likely to put ourselves in danger. So I advise you not to do it. Shinosuke also saw Akira Uchiha's lightning. It is a ninjutsu similar to Reikichi's hell attack. It has a strong penetrating ability. It is obviously a lie to say that it is impossible, but it depends on the target. Even if you use all your chakra on Shikaka's face, it will only make a hole. What use can it have? Do you think you are a man who can fight with a tailed beast? It's okay. I have a way to instantly break the opponent's body. Akira Uchiha's eyes were very serious. There is no joke in them. If you can really break Shikaka's body and wake up Manchuruki. Shinosuke didn't continue to say. If you can really do it, then Akira Uchiha will be the hero of this war. But Shinosuke doesn't want Akira Uchiha to jump to Shikaka's side and take risks. Akira Uchiha has killed so many ninjas, it is enough. He really regarded this little brat as his own junior. How could an elder watch his junior take the risk? But Wood Leaf is really in a crisis. Looking at Akira Uchiha full of confidence, Shinosuke can only let him try. But Shinosuke is unwilling to condense in his chest. If he can be a little bit more powerful, maybe he will not be helpless against a tailed beast. Have I lived for so many years in a monkey's body? Then do you need my help? Akira Uchiha went straight here. Naturally, he didn't just want to confirm this information. He should need him to do something. Can you summon the demon ape? I heard Orochimaru teacher said that Naruto-sama's demon ape is the strongest summon beast. You let the demon ape come out and fight with Shikaku, otherwise Shikaku will hide under the sand. My ninjutsu can't hit it. This? Shinosuke hesitated. What's wrong? You didn't sign a contract. Akira Uchiha was surprised. Is Shinosuke really Sandaime Naruto's son? No, it's, the demon ape doesn't listen to me. Shinosuke is a little embarrassed, his strength is too weak, he didn't get the demon ape's approval. So after summon, the demon ape won't help him fight. It's okay. You just need to summon and let the demon ape fight by itself. Anyway, if you fight with the demon ape, you will only drag it down. Motherf **, my heart hurts. Shinosuke clutched his chest. If he can, he really wants to poke this hateful kid to death. Summoning technique. After staining the blood of his mouth, a summoning array began to appear on the ground. Who told this old man to come out? After the white fog dissipated, a majestic monkey wearing a leopard print skirt and black leggings came over. You again? Your strength is too weak, I won't fight with you. That monkey held its chest and disdainfully said. If you don't help us, Wood Leaf will lose this battle. For the sake of my father's face, please help me. Shinsuke's snot and tears were all over his face. The demon ape's eyes looked at Shikaku in the middle of the sea of sand, hesitated for a moment and said, Shikaku is indeed a good opponent. Well, just this once, what do you need me to do? Try to entangle Shikaku. I will release ninjutsu, don't let it go under the sand. Akira Uchiha quickly said. Your request is really troublesome. The demon ape proudly replied and quickly ran toward Shikaku. Akira Uchiha nodded. Now all the preparations are in place. As for whether his ninjutsu will affect the demon ape, it's not a problem for him to consider. It's not my summoning beast, I won't die. Moreover, the other party is known as an indestructible diamond body. Its resistance should be good. Thinking of this, Akira Uchiha nodded. But one thing is certain, from now on, Shinosuke will completely lose the friendship of the demon ape. Chapter 150. Demon Ape directly rushed towards Shikaku, and at the same time punched Shikaku's air bullet, which attracted Shikaku's attention. Well, monkey? There is actually a monkey here, I can roast it. Shikaku spoke until here. As if he remembered something interesting, he patted the ground and laughed crazily. Is there something wrong with this Tanuki's brain? Demon Ape coldly snorted. Sand-binding coffin. Shikaku, who was still laughing, suddenly pressed his hands on the ground and gradually melted into the ground. Beside the ape demon, 2 arms made of sand shot out from the ground and grabbed at the ape demon. Suddenly, just as the hand of sand was about to grab the ape devil disappeared without a trace. He rushed towards Shikaku at a very fast speed. Shikaku waved his hand, and sand arms continued to grab Demon Ape, but Demon Ape immediately rushed out of the sand encirclement at a very fast speed. Almost in a blink of an eye, Demon Ape appeared behind Shikaku. Without waiting for Shikaku to turn around, Demon Ape quickly grabbed Shikaku's tail and swung it. Shikaku roared manically, and the sandstorm was lifted from the ground and pressed down on Demon Ape. Demon Ape immediately gathered power on the ground, and then jumped. He raised his right arm and broke through the sandstorm in an instant. Then he jumped on Shikaku's head and directly punched it. Stupid monkey, I will eat you. Shikaku felt some pain and then shouted. Suddenly, Shikaku's head melted like a snowflake under the sun, and turned into quicksand. Demon Ape's feet sank. Not waiting for Demon Ape to escape, Shikaku's hand appeared behind Demon Ape and grabbed Demon Ape's body, and slammed its head on the ground. Boom. Suddenly a huge hole appeared on the ground, and the air waves lifted the sand, forming a sandstorm. Stupid monkey! Ichibi Shikaku shouted while continuously hitting the head of Demon Ape on the ground. After slamming it 7 or 8 times, Shikaku found that the monkey in his hand was not injured, so he threw Demon Ape away. Wind release air bullet. Unforgiving. This is not something that only humans can do. Ichibi Shikaku can also do it very neatly. After throwing the demonic ape away, he threw wind release chakra balls at it. Boom. 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 The explosion of the wind release ninjutsu engulfed the ape demon, and submerged it in the whistling wind blades. Seeing the demonic ape getting beaten up, Akira Uchiha couldn't be bothered to continue replying to chakra. He leaped several times in a row, leaping high into the air and slowly stepping on the remaining tall earth wall. The sound of wind and rain swaying in the air gradually became clearer than the sound of fighting on the ground. Looking down, the battlefield was covered with corpses, bright red blood, and bright green leaves. Not far away, Shikaku let out a surly cry. Akira Uchiha seemed to have narrowed his eyes because of all this, reminiscing with nostalgia. Thunder rumbled in the distance once again. There was a faint sound of thunder. These words suddenly appeared in Akira Uchiha's mind before disappearing. A large amount of chakra that had undergone a qualitative change instantly gathered in Akira Uchiha's hands. In a very short time, it reached the level of Chidori's chakra. If it was at ordinary times, Shinsuke wouldn't be stingy with his praise, but now, with such a ninjutsu, it's too naive to want to defeat the huge body of Sand Shikaku. What else do you have that you haven't shown yet? Shinsuke looked up at Akira Uchiha standing in the sky, and such a thought appeared in his mind. Accompanied by the sound of thunder in the sky, Akira Uchiha raised his right hand high, and his 5 fingers curled up irregularly. The lightning that constantly flashed in the sky seemed to begin to flash in a specific pattern. For Akira Uchiha, Thunder Kirin Jutsu couldn't be used before, because the caster must clearly see the speed and direction of the lightning, so as not to hit himself when using it. The dynamic vision of the 2 Tomo Sharingan was far from enough, but in that cave his left eye accidentally evolved to 3 Tomo, which solved Akira Uchiha's biggest concern. As for the other difficulty, changing the shape of the lightning, Akira Uchiha was able to do it when he was in the 4th grade. Therefore, this thunder release was simply perfect for the environment of the land of rain. Thunder come! Akira Uchiha shouted. Roar, a sound similar to a beast's roar came, and directly above Akira Uchiha's head, a kirin made of lightning poked out from the dark clouds. What is this? Shinsuke's mouth was wide open, looking at the kirin in the dark clouds in surprise. Hey, look up at the sky! Someone shouted. The battlefield, which was still filled with killing, instantly quietened down. The ninjas looked at the sky, and the weapons in their hands unconsciously fell down. Lightning! How can it be? Are you kidding me? Is this also a ninjutsu? The ninjas looked at the Kirin in the sky. At this time, Akira Uchiha felt the raging lightning around him. He was like a fellow Taoist who was in the middle of a tribulation, bathing in the sea of lightning. This is not enough. The lightning has not reached the most suitable state, and the shape of the lightning is somewhat unstable. Because it was the first time he used it, Akira Uchiha was not particularly proficient. The lightning Kirin in the sky appeared and disappeared in the dark clouds, like a fish swimming in the water. Shikaku on the ground felt the horror of the Kirin in the sky. If it was hit by this ninjutsu, its body would certainly be broken. Thinking of this, Shikaku immediately drilled into the sea of sand. Seeing this situation, how could the ape demon let Shikaku escape? He immediately turned into a huge iron rod, like a toothpick stirring a vat, and directly stirred the sea of sand. Come out! The iron rod was getting thicker and thicker, and finally succeeded in pushing Shikaku to the ground. At this time, the Kirin in the sky was no longer rolling in the clouds, but poked its head out from the clouds, and its eyes made of lightning maliciously scanned the surroundings. Akira Uchiha also finally retracted his eyes from the sky, and bent down to look at the battlefield. At this time, the ape demon grabbed Shikaku's tail, and swung it toward the sky. Not good. Quickly stop him. Seeing this kind of powerful lightning release, Chio felt something was wrong. She already knew what Akira Uchiha was going to do. Sakura Shinobu began to rush toward Akira Uchiha. But it was already too late. Akira Uchiha, bathed in the sea of lightning, was like a god. He raised his right hand and swung it toward the ground. Fall together with Lei Ming. The Kirin roared and rushed toward Shikaku. Akira Uchiha did not have the opportunity to use this kind of lightning release before. Therefore, this was the first time that the world saw the power of this lightning release, including himself. The ninjas only felt a flash of blue light, and the Kirin fell on the sea of sand. In just a moment, the place where Shikaku was located exploded. The lightning raged and submerged Shikaku in an instant. Boom! The huge sound seemed to break the eardrums, and the clamor of Shikaku finally disappeared. Now the whole world was quiet. The ninjas of both sides stared at the place where Shikaku was. The ground cracked, and everything within a 30-meter radius was vaporized. Chapter 151. Shinobi News Would Leaf Hidden Village hero Akira Uchiha Chunin interview. In the past few days, in addition to the real-time battle situation of the Shinobi World War, a Chunin named Akira Uchiha also appeared in the Shinobi World War. This shinobi's certification is Shinobi World War Hero, founder of electroshock therapy. The following is the content of the interview. Ninja note: did you have to use this ninjutsu? Akira Uchiha: at present, if I don't have this ninjutsu, I don't have a better move. Ninja note: some shinobi may think that Shikaku disappeared because he couldn't bear the physical pain, and that this is a punishment. Akira Uchiha: this is a matter of Shinobi World War Hero. It depends on your understanding. Reporter: there is a sand shinobi who doesn't want to reveal his name. He thinks that directly using electric shock on such a cute Shikaku will have a bad effect on his development. Are you sure about this? Akira Uchiha: I don't think such a small lightning release will do that. Ninja note: this is your personal opinion. Akira Uchiha: my personal opinion is, of course. Ninja note: when we interviewed Shikaku, he showed a melancholy look and told us that in the past second, he just experienced a tribulation. So what do you think? Akira Uchiha: pretentious people will be struck by lightning. The above content is Akira Uchiha's interview. Akira Uchiha was smiling from the beginning to the end. We will continue to follow the report. The second special article that was originally scheduled to be published. The legendary Sannin? The secret that we can't tell the demigod. The publication was delayed for some reason. At this time, the battlefield was dead silent. The sound of lightning release was like a sad song on the battlefield, and also like Sakura Shinobu's funeral song. After Kirin, Shikako also turned into a pile of sand. Everyone stared at the ground without blinking. That lightning release was like a tribulation. It only hit the tailed beast in an instant. And on the ground, there was a hole of tens of meters. But what about Shikaku? Where did the unparalleled tailed beast go? No one moved. Even the ninjas who were fighting stopped and looked at this scene blankly. The tailed beast was dead. Could it be that the terrifying tailed beast was killed just like that? Furthermore, he was only a teenager. This was truly unbelievable. For many ninjas, today is a day they won't forget for decades. This was because this was the first time they had seen a legendary tailed beast. Then, they were able to watch Akira Uchiha's electroshock therapy for free. But did Akira Uchiha really kill Shikaku? Of course not. Extraterrestrial lifeforms like this had tenacious vitality. They wouldn't die even if they were hit by an S-rank lightning escape. Therefore, Shikaku used his own body to block most of the damage when the lightning release hit him. If it entered the human Manchuriki's body, then the human Manchuriki would definitely die, and it would also disappear temporarily. Therefore, Shikaka chose to block the lightning release by himself. Although Shikaka didn't die, lightning release also shattered his body. In this case, the human Manchuriki also woke up. Sure enough, under the pile of sand, a hand stretched out. It's just that the hand, under the influence of lightning release, had turned into smoke. At this time, it can be seen that the ginger is still tender and brittle. Before everyone could react, Chiyo had already calmed down her anger and immediately issued an order. Quickly retrieve Shikaku. Anyone with discerning eyes can see that the Ichibi Jinchuriki has now become a waste. Now, was there anything more important than Shikaku on the battlefield? If they could take advantage of this opportunity to capture Shikaku and bring him back to their village, even if they lost the war, so what? Not to mention the rock ninjas allied with Woodleaf and Sakura Shinobu. Even the weakest rain ninjas had this idea. Therefore, now that Sakura Shinobu was at a disadvantage in terms of the number of ninjas on the battlefield, the betrayal of the allies was inevitable. Chiyo, of course, wanted to kill the kid who electrocuted the tailed beast. In that moment, she even remembered the mountain that once shrouded the ninja world, the god of shinobi. Such a threatening target must not be allowed to grow. But the tailed beast can't be lost. Once the tailed beast is lost, then the 3 generations of Kazekage will definitely blame her for the failure of the battlefield. As for victory, is it possible to win? Originally, the strength of the two sides was basically equal, but the momentum of the 3 allied forces was completely suppressed by one person. They have become the weaker side. And if the allied forces fall apart, then losing the war is only a matter of time. Especially with Shikaku losing his fighting power, Yambi's Jinchuriki being delayed, and Hanzo not being there, there was no one who could turn the tide. After Chiyo's order, the originally quiet battlefield became chaotic, and Sakura Shinobu almost subconsciously rushed to Shikaku's side. At the same time, the rock ninjas and the rain ninjas began to desperately rush over. Now is a good time to fish in troubled waters. Chiyo, this war is destined to be our Woodleaf's victory. Shikaku can't even beat a kid. It's a shame for the tailed beast. Ha ha ha. Separated by dozens of meters, Hyugataka's tone was full of ridicule to Chiyo. Hyugataka couldn't use the Byakugan because of the forbidden technique. At this time, he was protected by a group of Hyuga clansmen, but these were all from the branch family. When he spoke, his face was pale, and although the blood in his eyes has been wiped away, he was still trying to suppress the pain in his eyes. But now at this time, he can finally breathe a sigh of relief. Although his body was in pain, he was still very happy. After all, he sacrificed so much. If this war was lost, it would make him very unwilling. If Shikaku was still there, it's hard to say whether Woodleaf could win or not, but the ninja casualties were inevitable. But now it's gone, and Sakura Shinobu's last trump card is gone. As long as the war continues, then Konoha will be able to win the war. It's just that no one thought that the person who played a key role at this time was Chunin. Akira Uchiha's role on the battlefield in this minute can't be said to be turning the tide, but at least he can stand alone. So, who was this young man who had appeared out of nowhere? Hyugataka was shocked by his combat power, After all, at this age, who knows what kind of existence he will grow into? Hyugataka kept thinking about the more famous geniuses in the village. He wasn't sure who the boy was, but in general, it's a good thing. The more powerful his ninjas on the battlefield, the higher the chance of victory. So he quickly issued an order. There were only 5 short words. Go and protect him. In other words, save Akira Uchiha. Chapter 152. In the ruins, Sarutobi Shinosuke barely pushed away the boulder in front of him and crawled out. Under the lightning release, he quickly used the earth release to drill into the ground, so he didn't suffer much injury. How are you? Looking at Akira Uchiha's tattered clothes and blackened body, Shinosuke asked with concern. It's okay, but I don't have much chakra left. At this time, Chiyo's order to take back Shikaku was heard, and suddenly, countless ninjas rushed toward Shikaku. The problem is, the 2 of them are also in the vicinity of Shikaku, so the question is, will the sand ninjas passing by be interested in them and give them a hard time? This question only appeared in Shinosuke's mind for a second, and he had the answer. Isn't this nonsense? This little bastard next to him shocked Shikaku's tailed beast. What's wrong? Looking at Shinosuke's expression, Akira Uchiha asked in a low voice. Can you still walk? Shinosuke hurriedly asked. Yes, my body is only burned because of the lightning, nothing serious. Akira Uchiha said. Since it's nothing serious, let's run away immediately. Shinosuke said, and at the same time he signaled to Sakura Shinobu behind him. Shikaku has been destroyed, there is no need to stay here, so Akira Uchiha nodded and struggled to stand up. But before they could walk a few hundred meters, they were stopped by Sakura Shinobu. The sand ninja in front of them moved a bit, and at the same time he took out a fan from behind him. Since you came, don't leave. Shinosuke smiled and said. Your elder Chiyo asked you to seal Shikaku. I am not a sealing class. Elder Hai and Elder Zo are enough. I just came to settle accounts with him. Earth release earth splitting palm. Shinosuke blocked in front of Akira Uchiha, and then threw a boulder from his hand. Wind release mustard sickle. The Jonin's fan flashed, and a gust of wind rushed towards the clod. Suddenly, more than 10 shurikens shot towards Sakura Shinobu, but he didn't panic. He pulled out the fan behind him and waved it forward. This was the advantage of this kind of fan. It could attack and defend at the same time. When the wind blew, all the shurikens were blown away. At the same time, a figure rushed in front of Sakura Shinobu and punched him. Sakura Shinobu opened his fan and used it as a shield in front of him. And in this short moment, Shin's Higuchi rushed in front of him and punched the fan in front of him in a semicircle. Boom! An invisible ripple spread out, and Sakura Shinobu and Shinosuke fell to the ground under the impact of a huge force. When Sakura Shinobu fell, Akira Uchiha, who was sitting on the ground, took out several kunai and directly attacked that person. At this time he didn't have any chakra, and his whole body was exhausted, so he could only slightly interfere with the opponent. The kunai easily passed through that person's body, but in the fall, he turned into a pile of dirt. Earth clone! Suddenly, Sakura Shinobu appeared in front of Akira Uchiha and waved his huge fan at him. However, surprisingly, facing this person's attack, Akira Uchiha didn't dodge, but gently snapped his finger. This kind of low-level genjutsu doesn't consume much chakra, and this is also Akira Uchiha's last protection for himself. Got you! In Sakura Shinobu's trance, Shin's Higuchi suddenly appeared. He grabbed with his backhand and pulled forward at the same time. Ah! Shin's Higuchi shouted, holding the opponent's fan with both hands, his whole body turned around and threw out with force. Sakura Shinobu held the fan tightly and only felt the front of his body turn, and he lost the power to pull. But after all, he is an elite jonin, and he has already recovered his balance in midair, and his feet stepped on the ground and jumped to the stone. However, just as he stood still and stood firm, Shin's Higuchi's ninjutsu rushed in front of him. Wind release. Wind blade. Sakura Shinobu jumped again. Boom. The place where he stood was cut by the wind release. Sakura Shinobu, who escaped, also jumped high and fell to the ground. His feet rubbed the ground for a distance of 4 or 5 meters. Blood was left on his face. and the wind blade just left a small wound on his face. Bastard! Sakura Shinobu opened the fan in his hand. Wind release weasel sickle. The fan opened and waved toward Shin's Higuchi. Earth release, earth wall formation. Shin's Higuchi made a hand seal, and a tall earth wall quickly formed in front of him. The wind blade slashed on the surface, leaving gullies of different sizes on the surface. Wind release, weasel sickle. Seeing Shin's Higuchi cast a defensive ninjutsu, Sakura Shinobu opened the fan and increased the strength of the fan again, and the wind blade directly broke the earth wall. At the same time, under the leadership of Chiyo, Sakura Shinobu finally established a temporary line of defense, blocking Manchuriki. For this reason, Sakura Shinobu also paid a huge price. But what can they do? The bijou is an important weight to maintain the balance of power of the shinobi village. Whether in war or peace, no shinobi village can afford to lose the bijou. In short, the war can be lost, but the bijou can't be lost. When Ebizo rushed to the side of the Jinchuriki was already on the verge of death. He sighed. It was obvious that Manchuriki didn't have long to live. It seems that he can only give up on him. Thinking of this, he clapped his hands on the ground. Summoning jutsu. A huge clay pot appeared beside Ebizo, and then he began to command the command to seal Shikaka back into the clay pot. Of course, this means that Manchuriki will die. I will take the ninjas to block them. You immediately leave the battlefield and withdraw back to the village. You don't have to worry about the rest of the things. Be sure to protect Shikaku. Chiyo ordered. Ebizo nodded, and under the cover of Sakura Shinobu, he quickly ran to the periphery of the battlefield. Before leaving, he looked back at his sister, who was still in a fierce battle with Woodleaf's ninjas. The future is long, Woodleaf, you just wait and see. Ebizo bitterly looked at Woodleaf's ninjas, and quickly began to run. After Shikaku was taken away, there was no longer a point to fight, and the originally collapsed allied forces showed signs of uniting. Sakura Shinobu also became somewhat unscrupulous, and their attacks could only be described as crazy. Shikaka disappeared. Akira Uchiha stood beside Shinosuke and whispered, while Sakura Shinobu was still confronting the two of them. Yes, so these guys are even more unscrupulous, and they all rushed here. Shinosuke was somewhat helpless. He couldn't even deal with one jonin, let alone a group of them. We are fine. Akira Uchiha wiped the rainwater from his face. What? Your chakra has recovered. Akira Uchiha shook his head, and then raised his chin, indicating the Hyuga ninjas rushing from the distance. Not bad. I didn't expect you to have a relationship with the Hyuga clan. Shinosuke patted Akira Uchiha's shoulder. He was thrown into the Umbu when he was a child, and not many people knew him. So Shinosuke didn't think that Hyuga was here to save him. After listening to Shinosuke's words, Hyuga Himeji's cold face suddenly appeared in Akira Uchiha's mind. The corner of his mouth slightly rose, and he shook his severely soaked trench coat and said, Do I have to tell you that the Hyuga young clan leader is my little brother? Chapter 153. The rain seemed to have never weakened. The gray clouds looked as if someone had added a lid to the sky. The ground was full of potholes, and the ripples of raindrops continuously spread out as they hit the ground. It was as if someone was chattering nonstop. Suddenly, in the distant sky, a roaring Kirin appeared. That is, the four of them stopped what they were doing at the same time, and turned to look at the sky. A moment later, the godlike lightning disappeared. However, the four of them were in a state of shock. Because the land of rain has been raining all year round, their vision will be blocked. It can be imagined that this ninjutsu's light is too strong. Even here, they can see it very clearly. So, how amazing is the power of this ninjutsu? What kind of lightning release is this? Hanzo stared at the light with burning eyes. Immediately he turned to the three ninjas in front of him and said, Is there any ninja in your three countries who can use this lightning release? The three ninjas in front of him also fell into deep thought. Could it be Shigeru? Tsunade asked softly. It can't be him. Not to mention that Shigeru is now blocking the Yambi Manchuriki. He can't get away. And his most powerful lightning release is not so powerful. Orochimaru shook his head. He knew Shigeru's strength very well. Shigeru's lightning ninjutsu is very high, but his lightning release is related to swords. He doesn't have such a powerful lightning release. But who could it be? For a while, the four of them couldn't figure it out. It seems that you don't know. Is it a new strong person? You big countries are so lucky. Why do you always have a steady stream of geniuses? How can you understand the pain of our small countries? Hanzo squinted his eyes and sighed. Humph, pain? If you were in pain, there wouldn't be this war. I witnessed the whole mission of the gold mine. Orochimaru retorted with a hoarse voice. Young man, how can you be sure that what you saw is the truth? We can all be used by others. Hanzo shook his head. Use? Who has the strength to play with the whole ninja world like this? Don't tell me that Uchiha Madara is still alive. Tsunade sneered. Too arrogant. Wood Leaf taught you self-confidence, but he didn't teach you manners. Hanzo waved his scythe. In an instant, Orochimaru and the others' vigilance in their hearts. Jiraiya's hands quickly. Fire flame bullet. A fierce ball of flame burst out and headed straight towards Hanzo. However, Hanzo merely swung his scythe. Chakra surged from his body as he sliced the great flame bullet apart. The flames from the great flame bullet scattered to the sides, leaving Hanzo unscathed. Whoosh! Hanzo suddenly disappeared in front of Orochimaru and the others. The three of them were shocked. So fast. Although Orochimaru and the others weren't speed-type ninjas, their strength was tyrannical, and their speed wasn't bad. But compared with the man in front of them, there was still a big gap. Behind. Orochimaru roared. His snake's perception allowed him to quickly detect Hanzo's position. Tsunade didn't hesitate. He suddenly turned around and punched behind him. Tsunade's punch directly hit Hanzo's scythe. Hanzo only felt a huge force hit him. His body directly stepped back a few steps and stepped on a boulder. The strength is enough, but unfortunately the speed is not enough. Hanzo said indifferently. Shuriken Shadow Clone Technique. Just as Hanzo spoke, Orochimaru threw out his shurikens. The number of shurikens immediately increased, and like a storm of pear blossoms, they attacked Hanzo. Hanzo narrowed his eyes, and just as he was about to use Blink to dodge, he suddenly found that the boulder under his feet had turned into a swamp. His legs sank, and he couldn't use Blink to escape. Earth release. Yellow Spring Swamp. Jiraiya shouted. Not bad. Unfortunately, you almost hurt me. Swordsmanship flash. Hanzo the Salamander's scythe was completely blocked by Hanzo the Salamander's scythe. At this moment, Tsunade appeared behind Hanzo and punched with monstrous strength. Boom. The earth quaked and the mountains swayed. A pitch-black behemoth suddenly rose from the ground. Hanzo's psychic beast Salamander. The yellow spring swamp under Hanzo's feet was knocked away by the salamander. At the same time, Tsunade couldn't dodge in time, and was sent flying by the giant. Messy Lion's hair. Jiraiya flicked his hair, and his white hair quickly extended, trying to wrap around Tsunade in the air and pull him back. Great Waterfall Technique. At the same time, Hanzo's hands flipped rapidly, and a huge wall of water shot out like a waterfall, crashing towards Tsunade in the air. Multiple mud walls. Orochimaru used Earth Release to block the waterfall. Boom. The waterfall and the mud wall collided. After tens of seconds of stalemate, Earth Release turned into mud and fell to the ground. The sky also seemed to be raining mud. After the mud and dust dispersed, the field of vision gradually widened. Hanzo carried his scythe on his back and stood in the rain. Be careful, his psychic beast disappeared again. Tsunade looked at Hanzo not far away, but the salamander under his feet was nowhere to be seen. Just now, the salamander suddenly came out of the ground and attacked Tsunade. Suddenly, the ground under their feet began to shake. The three of them immediately jumped into the air, and a huge shadow followed them. The salamander opened its mouth wide, and purple smoke came out of its mouth. Its dark yellow tongue swayed in the air, and rolled towards the three of them. Hidden Snake Hand. Orochimaru's right hand suddenly extended more than 10 meters, and turned into a dark green snake. It bit a large rock and used its sharp fangs to dig into the rock. With this, Orochimaru borrowed strength from the air and used its left hand to use hidden snake hand. It wrapped around Tsunade and Jiraiya and pulled them back. The three of them were safe and sound. Seeing this, the salamander swept its huge tail towards the three of them. Before the attack even reached them, the air around them rolled like a tide. Seeing such an attack, the three of them did not dare to use defensive ninjutsu to block it. Jiraiya's hands danced and quickly formed hand seals. The ground under them moved slowly, and in an instant, a long shadow slammed into the salamander from the air. Earth Release, Earth Dragon Bullet. Although the salamander's tail was huge and looked clumsy, it was as agile as a snake. It stopped the inertia of its tail and changed the direction of its sweep to the top. Then it collided with the Earth Dragon. With a loud bang, the Earth Dragon was shattered into pieces of soil and scattered on the ground. Orochimaru's hands danced quickly, and dozens of hand seals were formed in the blink of an eye. His hands crossed in front of him. Wind Release, Thousand Wind Blade. Hundreds of wind blades were released from Orochimaru's hands and attacked the salamander. In an instant, Hanzo appeared in front of the salamander. Flash. Hanzo waved his scythe. There was a layer of wind element chakra on the scythe, and the wind blades slowly collapsed. Such a powerful ninjutsu disappeared with a single slash. Roar. The salamander fish opened its bloody mouth and let out a deafening roar, causing Orochimaru and the others' eardrums to ache. Was this the power of a demigod? You're tuning in to the Earbook Haven YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.